High today 40, clouds and fog, a shower this evening, drizzle late, low 34. Dense fog tomorrow morning, cloudy and damp, the high Saturday at 39. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. Apparently, Joe Biden is at least dimly aware of political reality. He knows the open border could be his electoral downfall. So he's finally admitted there's a border crisis and claims he needs Republican cooperation to fix it. Good luck with that. Everyone knows former President Trump's brand was build the wall. Pretending otherwise won't cut it. During the 2020 election campaign, candidate Biden actually invited the illegal migration, saying he'd, quote, immediately surge to the border all those people who are seeking asylum, unquote. They took him at his word. And now, according to former Immigration and Customs Enforcement Director Tom Homan, there are almost 100,000 missing children. 440,000 unaccompanied children have entered the country at the service of the cartels, and 112,000 Americans have died from fentanyl. Biden's broken border epiphany is too little, too late.
Retirement Outlook.
If your retirement account is mostly stocks or bonds, listen closely. The future of your savings may be more uncertain than ever before. Hi, I'm Paul Stone, CEO of Colonial Metals. The sad truth is, our government continues to eat away at our freedoms and security. In economic times like these, run around the flagpole by lunatics in Washington, I look to the most trusted store of wealth in human history, physical gold and silver that you own. At Colonial Metals, we specialize in helping folks with IRAs and 401ks and other retirement accounts move their savings into physical gold and silver. If you'd like a free gold investment kit, give us a call today at 820-800-8000. My team is standing by ready to rush a free gold investment kit to you. You may also qualify for $7,500 in free silver and a free safe. Call 820-800-8000 now. That's 820-800-8000.
Colonial Metals is not a financial advisor. Consult with your advisor before investing.
That's 820-800-8000.
Rick Borick, host of Unleash Your Wealth.
When the stock market struggles, when inflation is high, you need to start looking through the inventory of all your accounts and say, is every one of these investments working as hard as it could be? Because every month during high inflation that you waste, you're losing 8 or 9% a year.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and our new time at 2 p.m. here on AM 560, The Answer.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century with IoT Smart Connected Scanning. It's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
When you're serious about your concealed carry training and education and are ready to learn from an active police officer with a teaching degree, check out Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian. You'll learn safe, responsible firearm use, home defense planning, conflict avoidance, situational awareness, and how to remain physically, morally, and financially safe in the event you must use your firearm in self-defense or the defense of another. Weekday and weekend classes available.
I'm Sergeant Gary Carr, police firearms trainer and the owner of Illinois Concealed Carry Training. We'll arm you with what really counts: knowledge and training. All concealed carry curriculums are not created equal. This may be the single most important decision you'll ever make for yourself and your loved ones. Choose between 3 and 16-hour classes that are available both weekdays and weekends. We are your one-stop for concealed carry classes, fingerprints, and legal defense plans.
Register for a class today and get 10% off class fees with promo code AM560. Visit IllinoisConcealedCarry.com. That's IllinoisConcealedCarry.com.
When you're in the market to buy or sell a home, commercial property, or even vacant land, let attorney Susan J. Kim step in. She's reliable, responsive, personable, and extremely thorough when helping you deal with an otherwise stressful transaction. Attorney Kim leads with her values and is committed to providing legal services with excellence. To contact Attorney Kim, visit sjkimlaw.com. That's sjkimlaw.com. Whether it's drafting agreements, negotiating contract terms, or closing on a property, Attorney Susan J. Kim can do it all. Over 10 years of experience and her wealth of knowledge tackling complicated legal negotiations and breaking them down into a smooth, easy-to-understand process is what she does best. So let Attorney Susan J. Kim step in. To schedule your legal consultation today, visit sjkimlaw.com. That's sjkimlaw.com or call 847-906-3166. Susan J. Kim Attorney at Law is a state of Illinois licensed real estate attorney.
For over 100 years, St. Andrew's Lutheran School in the heart of Park Ridge has been dedicated to education excellence, spiritual growth, and service to the community. Parents continue to express their gratitude to the school for all it has to offer their children.
My second child just graduated from St. Andrew's Lutheran School in Park Ridge. Not only did both place into advanced classes in high school, but St. Andrew's teachers have enabled me to achieve my most important goal as a parent, to be confident that they know their Savior and that they'll be with me in heaven someday.
From kindergarten through 8th grade, your child will learn in a Christ-centered, individualized, nurturing environment. Take a tour, visit with faculty, and register for the upcoming school year on Sunday, January 28th from noon to 2. For details, visit St. Andrew's Lutheran School in Park Ridge online at standrewspr.org. Provide your child with the gift of a Christ-centered St. Andrews education. Find out more today at standrewspr.org.
For armed or unarmed security, average isn't good enough. You deserve more. You need more.
Morrison means more.
Morrison Security. More deterrence and prevention with customized programs that fit your budget. Cost-effective, sensible solutions for all businesses and facilities.
Morrison means more.
More peace of mind, knowing your security guards are well-trained professionals with a track record of getting results and serving exactly your needs. Morrison Security personnel are constantly trained for readiness and are prepared for any given situation that can occur at a job site.
Morrison means more.
More reliability of management for quick and effective solutions at your property. Morrison Security is responsive. They're always available to you.
Morrison means more.
More awareness of any challenges you face with protecting people, property, and assets. For armed and unarmed security, don't settle for substandard or average. Security is too important. Contact them and find out how you can get more. MorrisonSecurity.com. MorrisonSecurity.com.
Morrison means more.
Chronic pain can be very bossy. What do I mean? It tells you what you can or can't do. Sometimes it even has the audacity to keep you from working.
I missed almost 3 weeks of work, and I was no longer able to play tennis. The pain was really debilitating sometimes. I missed Thanksgivings.
Abby was ready to put the bossy bad back in her past. And that's when she discovered QC Kinetics and their non-surgical treatments for pain. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in advanced regenerative medicine with tens of thousands of satisfied patients, people who have experienced real lasting relief without drugs and without surgery.
It has just been the most life-changing, amazing experience. Not only life-changing, but career-saving. I get to continue to do the career that I love. I'm playing tennis again.
Stop letting that joint pain boss you around. Start with a free consultation at QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Is your child getting the personalized attention they need to excel in math? Mathnasium has a solution for students of all skill levels. Each child's strengths and weaknesses, creating a customized learning plan. If you have kids in school, you're probably starting to see how they're doing in math. Could it be better? Consider an individual assessment with Mathnasium. They'll pinpoint what your child needs to excel, then give them live, face-to-face instruction, either in-center or online, so they can catch up and get ahead. At Mathnasium, math is taught in a way that makes sense to students, so they understand it, master it, and enjoy it. Over 1 million parents have already trusted Mathnasium to give their children an edge in math. The Mathnasium method gives them the critical thinking skills they need to thrive, with the option to attend face-to-face online sessions or come to one of our 1,000 neighborhood learning centers. Mathnasium is changing lives through math. Learn more at mathnasium.com. That's mathnasium.com.
Calling all firearm owners, enthusiasts, and Second Amendment patriots. Both experienced and novice customers are cordially invited to visit MOA Industries in Bensonville. MOA Industries is a Class 7 firearms dealer providing a myriad of services, including firearm sales, gunsmithing, certified Cerakote application, laser engraving, firearms instruction on a private range, firearms transfers for only $40, and discounts for veterans and first responders. With a large selection of firearms, customization services, and CCL license classes and renewals, MOA Industries strives to be your one-stop shop for all your firearms needs. Visit MOAindustries.com today. Your Second Amendment needs are the first priority. No high-pressure salesmen, just friendly, relaxed professionals dedicated to providing the best service possible. MOA Industries is located in nearby Bensonville. Ready to pull the trigger? Call 630-766-7593. That's 630-766-7593. Or visit online at MOAindustries.com. That's MOAindustries.com. MOAindustries.com.
It's a new year, and that means New Year's resolutions. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and if one of your New Year's resolutions was to do more to help others, then we want to let you know that you still have the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of children in Latin America and the Caribbean through Food for the Poor. Your donation of just $80 provides food for an entire year for 2 children. That's life-changing. Just because the Christmas season is over, that doesn't mean that the need has gone away. Food for the Poor is a faith-based organization that works with partners on the ground to make sure these children are fed. You know, we talk a lot about the root causes of our immigration crisis, and one of those causes is the situation in many of these countries. This is your chance to help take care of others. To make a donation of any amount, just visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor. That's 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor. Thanks again for your generosity.
Well, I've been taking it for some time. We saw the ad, and we thought we would give it a try. And I noticed after the first month, we just felt better. I told my doctor, too, and she said, this sounds like a really good product for you to be taking. We plan to take it for life.
I ran this by my doctor. I always run it by her, everything I take, and I told her I've been taking this for a while. Is this okay to take? She goes, oh, this is wonderful for you to take. Keep taking it. She goes, I approve this. This is very good. So she said, yes. She said, this is one thing you can take that's very good. I'm not going to stop taking Balance of Nature.
Step into the new year with a new you. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Protecting and growing your retirement assets can be complicated. From asset and legacy protection to retirement income and extended care, you need a plan. Mark Kohler, host of Retirement and Income Radio, heard Sundays at 11 a.m., helps retirees in or near retirement protect their accounts from market volatility. Mark can help you create lifetime guaranteed inflation-hedged income. Call Mark today at 844-619-SAFE. That's 844-619-7233. And listen this Sunday at 11 a.m. to Retirement and Income Radio.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So the battle has been joined. 25 governors now on the side of Texas in the state of Texas's battle with the Biden administration. Republican governors from across the fruited plains rallying around Texas Governor Greg Abbott. And no, I'm sorry to report, Jelly Belly is not one of them. Greg Abbott on Fox yesterday explaining both the legal argument, remember he's an attorney, the legal argument as to why he can deploy his people and do for the state of Texas what the federal government won't do for them, and then describing the action that's been taken and will continue to be taken.
So it was the states that created the United States, and when the states voted to create the United States and have a constitution, included in that agreement was the compact that the federal government would take care of the states. And Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution speaks to that and says that if the federal government does not take care of the states, then the states are in danger, we can ask the federal government to live up to its obligation. Then the authors of the Constitution knew there would be times when the federal government would not live up to its duty. And so they empowered states in Article 1, Section 10, the right of self-defense. And what Texas is asserting is our Article 1, Section 10 right of self-defense, because the President of the United States is not fulfilling his duty to enforce the laws passed by Congress that deny illegal entry into the United States.
Yeah, we mentioned this earlier in the week, Article 4, Section 4. That's the argument to be made that what Texas is being subjected to is an invasion, and the federal government has a responsibility, constitutional responsibility. You shall protect the states from invasion. Since they're not doing that, Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution, we're talking about the rule of law here, so we might as well make references to it as opposed to the rule of feelings, which is what we have from the power structure in Illinois. Article 1, Section 10, it limits the powers of the states, but listen, for those who don't have your pocket constitution handy, states may not enter into a treaty with a foreign nation. That power is given to the president with the advice and consent of 2/3 of the Senate present. States cannot make their own money, nor can they grant title of nobility. But it goes on to say, unless, no state shall. No, let me get to it here. No state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops or ship of wars in time of peace, enter into any agreement or compact with another state with a foreign power, or engage in war, unless actually invaded or in such imminent danger as will not admit of delay. So you have the Article 4, Section 4 responsibility of the federal government, and then you have, in the founder's infinite wisdom, should the federal government fail to do its job, you have Article 1, Section 10 powers that are the province of the state. And that's exactly the argument that Governor Abbott is making. And that's why the effort that the state of Texas is making will continue pending the case before the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals.
What Texas is doing is just very simple. And that is because the Biden administration has really, truly abdicated its responsibility to secure the border and enforce the laws. Texas very simply is securing the border. And so we put up the razor wire that you were talking about, Bill, and we put up all these barricades that actually have denied illegal entry. And as you pointed out also in that screen, there are criminals coming across our border. Texas has a right as a state to stop criminals from coming into our state, to make arrests of those criminals. And we have National Guard as well as Texas Department of Public Safety officers who are there to make those arrests and to deny illegal entry. And Joe Biden actually does have an option here. Joe Biden's option is to enforce the laws of the United States and stop this illegal entry.
So, okay, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. So, the Supreme Court said that the feds could take down the razor wire, but Texas can put it back up. That's an ancillary issue, right? That's not.
Well, the Supreme Court removed an injunction that the Fifth Circuit Court had imposed that would prevent the feds from removing the razor wire. But that doesn't mean that the case has been, in fact, it specifically doesn't mean the case has been adjudicated on the merits, and this is the point that Abbott and others make. Ultimately, they hope to win the argument based on the argument you just heard from Abbott, Article 4, Section 4, combined with Article 1, Section 10, and then win at the Supreme Court level, too, which is why I was pumping the brakes on the hysterics that were being directed at Amy Coney Barrett as some sort of, betrayal of this and that. You have to understand where it was in the process, how thin the record was, the court record that the Supreme Court reviewed, leveled up from the Fifth Circuit. They didn't offer an opinion on any of this. They only removed an injunction, and now the case has been sent back to the Fifth Circuit. So Governor Abbott is proceeding as he was, and now he's been joined by 24 of his friends and colleagues in governors' offices around the nation. including next door in the great state of Oklahoma, Kevin Stitt.
Oklahoma and Florida and Tennessee, and you got all these other states that would send our National Guard to help and to support the efforts of Governor Abbott.
And Stitt went on to talk about the deployment. I mean, remember, the governors have a dominion over the National Guard until and unless the federal government, the president, would nationalize the state National Guards and put them at his direction. But then, you see what Abbott's done in Texas, which is to essentially deputize all law enforcement in the state to help with Border Patrol.
And I actually personally went down there to view it myself and to be with our troops. And we're looking at doing that again in the not so distant future. So we'll be in contact with Governor Abbott and whatever he needs our support for.
And every state should stand with Texas right now because this is an invasion. I mean, can you imagine if North Koreans were taking over, say, Hawaii or Guam or Puerto Rico or one of our territories and we didn't do anything? The governor has a right to defend its people and its state.
Well, it's interesting that this is more than just signing a letter. These governors are offering more than just signing a letter. You heard from Stitt. We'll be in touch with Abbott for personnel needs, whatever. Kristi Noem, governor of South Dakota, of course, she's going to drive down some razor wire from South Dakota if Abbott needs it.
Governor Abbott has done the exact right thing, and I'll drive him more razor wire from South Dakota if I have to for him to do his job. What people forget is that governors are commanders in chief. We're responsible for the men and women of our National Guard. It's a heavy responsibility that weighs on our shoulders. And so we never engage our National Guard soldiers and those men and women unless it's incredibly important and if we feel that we have the constitutional authority to do that in this situation. Over 2 years ago, I declared it a war zone at the southern border, just how it was impacting South Dakota. My Guard has been down there on multiple deployments supporting the Texas National Guard. Our Border Patrol agents do not support what President Biden is doing. Our ICE people on the ground do not support what President Biden is doing. Democrats in this country do not support what President Biden is doing at the southern border. And they disagree with him fundamentally. He's so out of touch. He is remaking this country. We will be Europe within a year or two if we allow President Biden to continue this invasion of our country. Over 6 million people have come here illegally. It is time to stand our ground, and we'll be down there standing shoulder to shoulder with Governor Abbott.
It's really an interesting moment when you've got half of the country's governors essentially standing the line against the federal government. And, we talked about this before, too. It's not like the Customs and Border Patrol officers and the Texas National Guard or other law enforcement personnel in Texas, they're not at odds with one another.
No, they want to work together to do it.
And don't forget, even if the Biden moved to federalize the National Guard in Texas, those are still Texans.
Yeah, they have family there and kids that they want to protect. But can you imagine the imagery, Dan, if Biden calls in the feds to take over to federalize the Texas National Guard, Texas Rangers? I mean, can you imagine? Like, he ignored the problem for 3 years, and he's not fighting to stop the invasion. He's fighting to stop Abbott.
Well, what's he even going to do if they try to commandeer that Shelby Park area that they don't have access to? I'm talking about Border Patrol right now.
That'll be ground zero of it. Is that where the Civil War begins?
This is a moment, but I suspect that Biden doesn't want this sort of showdown. He doesn't really need it. You can give Shelby Park and other portions of the border to Texas, and you still have your open borders, and you still have the invasion. The flood continues. Coming up at 5:38, we'll turn to the matter locally in terms of public safety issue that was invoked by the governors you just heard from. Yeah, we've got a public safety issue, too, here, and I'm not just talking about in Chicago. That's 5:38.
But first, let's head into the newsroom. Nikki Whaley, she's in for Mike Scott. Good morning, Nikki.
Good morning. It's 38 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. New York Daily News staff staged a walkout Thursday to protest ongoing cuts by the paper's hedge fund owners. Around 40 members of the Daily News Union were on the picket line around the Manhattan office building where it uses a small co-working space. The paper sold off its headquarters in 2020. Workers say that they've been reduced down to a skeleton staff. The Illinois Department of Revenue will begin accepting 2023 state tax returns on Monday. That's the same date that the IRS began accepting federal individual income tax returns. Taxpayers are encouraged to file electronically as early as possible and choose direct deposit in order to ensure the fastest processing and issuance of any refunds. News is a service of the AM 560 store. Order t-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands at Poff University and The Sean Thompson Show when you go to 560theanswer.com/store. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Chronic pain can be very bossy. What do I mean? It tells you what you can or can't do. Sometimes it even has the audacity to keep you from working.
I missed almost 3 weeks of work, and I was no longer able to play tennis. The pain was really debilitating sometimes. I missed Thanksgivings.
Abby was ready to put the bossy bad back in her past. And that's when she discovered QC Kinetics and their non-surgical treatments for pain. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in advanced regenerative medicine with tens of thousands of satisfied patients, people who have experienced real lasting relief without drugs and without surgery.
It has just been the most life-changing, amazing experience. Not only life-changing, but career-saving. I get to continue to do the career that I love. I'm playing tennis again.
Stop letting that joint pain boss you around. Start with a free consultation at QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Is your child getting the personalized attention they need to excel in math? Mathnasium has a solution for students of all skill levels. Each child's strengths and weaknesses, creating a customized learning plan. If you have kids in school, you're probably starting to see how they're doing in math. Could it be better? Consider an individual assessment with Mathnasium. They'll pinpoint what your child needs to excel, then give them live, face-to-face instruction, either in-center or online, so they can catch up and get ahead. At Mathnasium, math is taught in a way that makes sense to students, so they understand it, master it, and enjoy it. Over 1 million parents have already trusted Mathnasium to give their children an edge in math. The Mathnasium method gives them the critical thinking skills they need to thrive, with the option to attend face-to-face online sessions or come to one of our 1,000 neighborhood learning centers. Mathnasium is changing lives through math. Learn more at mathnasium.com. That's mathnasium.com.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchet taking a look at the roads. All is quiet at this time. If you're going inbound on the Edens, it's a 16-minute trip from Lake Cook Road to Montrose. The Kennedy, not bad at all. In from O'Hare to downtown. Eisenhower moving quickly to get from 390 into the post office, a 24-minute ride. And the Stevenson wide open between 355 and DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Inbound Orion, fine at 12 minutes, 95th on in. There are no delays to report out on the Skyway, I-57. That's also clear in both directions. Bishop Ford looks good both in and outbound. On DuSable Lakeshore Drive, trouble-free north and south. Tri-State moving along nicely, no troubles along the Jane Addams. On the Reagan Tollway, that's fine, as well as the Veterans Memorial Tollway, and also 8094 looks great. Traffic is a service of Crosscom Public Adjusters. If your home or business has an insurance claim, Crosscom will help you get what you need and have coming to you. They have helped thousands. CrossCommPublicAdjusters.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Areas of fog around today. Rain and drizzle, high 40. Clouds and fog, a shower this evening. Drizzle late, low 34. Dense fog tomorrow, cloudy and damp. The high tomorrow at 39. Cloud Sunday, the high again 39. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We were talking about the governors around the country closing ranks with Governor Abbott in his fight with the federal government. 25 governors standing with, including and standing with Abbott, that are going to back his play against the open borders abdication of the federal government. What about at the local level? What about the local level here? And but also, too, by the way, we had this conversation with Andy McCarthy, of course, National Review, and with all the focus on Biden Incorporated, the racketeering operation, for lack of a better description, to funnel money from enemies of America to the Biden family and up to the big guy. All the focus on the crime family aspect of their graft and corruption. McCarthy saying, the focus actually should be on his failure to do his constitutionally mandated job as the chief executive of the federal government when it comes to border security. And it probably would generate more attention and more support because it has more attention being paid to it at present. Something to consider, and also something to consider, too, in case, I know we've got that Parents Coalition petition being circulated for that parents' rights question to be put on the 24 ballot. But something else, too. I mean, there is a recall provision now, thanks to Rod Blagojevich, in the Illinois State Constitution, right? 20 and 10, 20 state reps and 10 state senators. So it needs to be 10 Dems, 10 Republicans in the House, 5 Dems, 5 Republicans in the Senate. Can authorize a petition to be circulated where you need, I think, 15% of the total ballots cast for governor in the previous election. You want to talk about a worthwhile endeavor to revitalize something representing opposition to this new Marxist hierarchy that controls the state. This seems to me like it could be a fruitful effort if there were interested parties to undertake it, like whatever constitutes the Republican Party these days. I mean, what was it? There was about, call it 4 million ballots cast in the governor's race in 2022. So 15% is about, 600,000 signatures? That's doable.
Not impossible, no.
So anyway,
sign that.
Just thinking about that because I know all eyes are on the city, and I know all the suburbs are passing the buck and saying, look, there's more than enough, like Naperville just did with our friend Josh McGroom's sign-up sheet pending. I mean, we don't need a sign-up sheet. We were thinking about a sign-up sheet. We don't need a sign-up sheet because there's just more than enough hands on deck. So we don't need to encourage our residents or even offer them an opportunity to live their values here in Naperville. We don't want any part of that. Very interesting. But just because you're not welcoming them, dare I say, Naperville not a welcoming city. Just because you're kicking them out, dare I say, Oak Park, not a welcoming place.
It used to be until, the end of the month, they've had enough.
Doesn't mean that when you have, as you heard, we know 6 million, 9 million over the last 3 years. I mean, the numbers keep moving around. I think it's hard to account for it, but we know you're talking about millions of people. And the government doesn't know where many of them are, right? The government admitted it didn't know where 85,000 children were last year that entered the country with or without a parent. Disappeared. So, they're going to wind up in the strangest places. It's not all neat and tidy. Oh, well, they come and
keeping tabs on everybody.
Yeah, they drop them off here. We have a landing center in Chicago. We've got 28 migrant facilities. Like, this is all well constructed and well conceived and was thought about well in advance. No, of course not.
It's the city government. You can't ask for a more dysfunctional group of people.
Well, this is interesting. Illegal immigrants are being housed in the Countryside area. That Countryside here in the suburbs. 4 illegal immigrants were arrested for shoplifting at Oakbrook Macy's on Tuesday. They gave their address as the American Inn and Suites located at 6401 Joliet Road in LaGrange Highlands. It was retail theft. 4 suspects. Officers from the Oakbrook Police Department responded to the incident. The mayor of Countryside, Sean McDermott, said that the American Inn and Suites is actually located just over the municipal line in LaGrange Highlands. So Countryside itself has no illegal immigrants housed there, as far as he knows. I mean, I think the point he's making is we're not looking to do that. We're not bringing them. We're not supporting this. But as far as he knows, 2 illegal immigrants from Chile living in Chicago were arrested for stealing over $10,000 worth of goods from the same Macy's.
Well, that's right. It's a hot place to go if you're a migrant or
6
an illegal.
Oakbrook Chief of Police, 6 felony arrests in one day. I think it illustrates that migrant criminal activity is a real problem. The amount of these types of arrests that we've had in the last couple of months is significant and would be taxing for any police department. We are well prepared to continue our enforcement efforts. I can assure you that there are easier places to commit these crimes than Oakbrook or DuPage County. Well, please do point them out so the migrants know. I mean, I get what he's saying, but the important point of it was, yeah, we have had in the last couple of months a number of arrests significant, would be taxing for any police department. So the idea that because your mayor waved off a bus, or those who deboarded a train and sent them to Chicago, that you're insulated from what's happening? I think the Oakbrook Police Chief would tell you you're not. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Jordan in Forest Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I wouldn't be surprised if in the next few months the Biden administration actually does crack down on the border to reduce or maybe eliminate this as an issue in the election. I have to believe that President Obama disagrees with what he's doing and is telling him that this is going to be an issue and you ought to try to eliminate it or at least reduce it, as an issue going forward. And then if he wins the election, it'll go back to what it is now.
Thanks for the call, Jordan. You know who else disagrees with what Biden is doing now?
Who?
Joe Biden.
Oh, really?
Joe Biden, 2007.
Oh, yeah, I heard this.
When he was a candidate against Barack Obama. This is from a debate, 2007, Joe Biden.
Would you allow these cities to ignore the federal law regarding the reporting of illegal immigrants and, in fact, provide sanctuary to these immigrants?
The reason the cities ignore the federal law is the fact that there is no funding at the federal level to provide for the kind of enforcement at the federal level you need. Pick up the New York Times today. There's a city not far across the river from my state that imposed the similar sanctions. And what they found out is, as a consequence of that, their city went in the dumps, in the dumpster. Stores started closing. Everything started to happen. And they changed the policy. Part of the problem is you have to have a federal government that can enforce laws. This administration has been fundamentally derelict in not funding any of the requirements that are needed even to enforce the existing
So,
law.
Senator Biden, yes or no, would you allow the cities to ignore the federal law?
No.
No, but he's a company man. And that's where the party was when they were. I mean, it's just incredible to think about this. You know, less than 20 years ago, the party, all those candidates on stage, Barack Obama, Joe Biden among them, were criticizing the George W. Bush administration over their lax border security.
Right.
And,
How things have changed.
Right. 17 years later, here we are.
A lot of
Amazing.
things changed. I mean, remember it was civil unions, then they allowed gay marriage, but at first, no. The party is it's unrecognizable today.
Speaking of, Obama, Joe Obama, the two of them, they've really evolved over the last couple of decades. By the way, I'm not sure about what Jordan said, that Barack Obama, maybe we would say privately, but he would never say publicly what Jordan said, that, you know, you've got to enforce this, you've got to have a border crackdown, you've got to stop the flow. He would never say that publicly because he's a cipher as well. He's just a more skilled cipher than his number two man there, Joe Biden, the big guy. Barack Obama in 2005? Just to refresh your recollection on these two.
We all agree on the need to better secure the border and to punish employers who choose to hire illegal immigrants. We are a generous and welcoming people here in the United States, but those who enter the country illegally and those who employ them disrespect the rule of law, and they are showing disregard for those who are following the law. We simply cannot allow people to pour into the United States undetected, undocumented, unchecked, and circumventing the line of people who are waiting patiently, diligently, and lawfully to become immigrants in this country.
I'll tell you what, those two clips would make for some pretty good Trump ads, wouldn't they?
Oh, yeah. And remember when President Obama was in charge and he had the House and he had the Senate, they did nothing with the Dreamers. They could have done what they wanted. They could have done anything. They had control of everything, and they sat on their hands.
Yeah, because Tiny Dancer thought it was not politically astute to do that. Probably right. And also they were looking for the bigger, better deal.
Which never came.
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
It's the same thing now the Senate Republicans have been attempting to do, which is a catastrophic error, and which is why I've suggested, and you can check out my latest commentary on it at Am Greatness, my counterculture podcast, move the migrants to Mitch. Move the migrants to Mitch in Lexington. Send a couple of buses, Governor Abbott, to McConnell's district office.
And what
to
about
McConnell's home.
Yeah.
Same thing with Langford in Oklahoma. Show that you're willing to, in a post-partisan way, advance the principle, regardless of who is standing in the way of this principled position on border security. Surrender Republicans, open borders, Marxist Democrats, doesn't matter.
And they want to let 5,000 a day come in. Don't let any come in. How's that sound?
Dawn in Crystal Lake.
Yes, it's the Roman Catholic Church. Put them on a plane and send them to the Vatican. The Catholic bishops are still demanding that the border be open, that all of these migrants be allowed in, and Joe Biden is Catholic.
Yeah, right. He's
John
Catholic.
Roberts is Catholic, and Amy Coney Barrett is Catholic.
Yeah, I know you're a Catholic bigot, Dawn. Thanks for the call. But I'm Catholic, and I'm happy to be critical of the church, as you've heard me be critical of the church many times on this show, in terms of its leadership and the policy positions they take, both locally, nationally, and internationally. But so there are Catholic Charities we've talked about here being a participant in the movement of migrants around the country. I understand the U.S. Catholic Conference of Bishops is a leftist organization. I have the same frustration with the Liberation Theology Catholics that other people do. But, I mean, the idea that this is some sort of Da Vinci Code, Catholic Church conspiracy, and these are all the chess pieces of Pope Francis is absurd. Phil and Darien.
Hey, good morning, guys. Dan, you just mentioned that 2007 Biden recording would be a great ad for Trump. Now, we all know, your listeners and you two know, that will never be played in a debate or anything. And I'm just wondering why that is. I support Trump 100%, but why isn't stuff like that thrown in his face so his supporters can see it? What do you think?
I don't. What are you insinuating? You're insinuating like Trump doesn't want to highlight their hypocrisy?
I'm just saying that the deep state, now I'm not saying he's a part of it, but stuff like that never comes out, and it should come out.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for the call. I mean, I agree. I mean, there's different communication strategies and stuff, but I mean, the Biden and the Obama stuff in particular, I mean, it's just so delicious, and it's so straightforward, and it couldn't be more obvious. So, yeah, I think, and this is why this is such a great era. All the problems with social media platforms notwithstanding, these digital platforms and all these people out there essentially serving the purpose of citizen journalists, that dig up these clips and you're sharing and so on and so forth, and these things move at the speed of a click, and that's good. That's good because this will get around, whether it's ever platformed in a presidential debate or whatever choices the Trump campaign makes to use them or not use them. It's still going to get around. It just did. Mike in Yorkville.
Morning, Dan and Amy. Hey, I know how you talk about the Catholic Church, but it's not just the Catholic Church who's accepting migrants. It is out here also. I used to hear from my pastor how he used to talk about he used to speed and all that. He would tell us to say, make sure you're following the laws and everything else. But as soon as it came to these migrants, we didn't hear anything about that, saying, if you're doing illegal action, you should head home. No. They view it as possibly a mission field for all we know. But the problem is, we're told to make sure you pay your taxes, you do whatever you need to do, but these people come on in, break the laws, that's fine. And to us, that's hypocritical. And there's only probably one pastor I know out in the surrounding suburb areas that will actually talk directly about that. We'll talk about the theft of how people are getting on their taxes in this state and many others. And it's a sad fact. It's not just the Catholics. It's out there across the whole land.
Right, because it's this. You're right, Mike. Exactly right. Because it's a problem of sentimentality, and that's a problem. That sentimentality problem has infected most of our institutions: governmental, civic, nonprofit, corporate, and so right. So there's no institution, including religious ones, that haven't been touched by this. Now, there are those that are sophisticated enough to rebel against it because they understand the implications. We talked about one of them, Real World, earlier in the week. So in Illinois, I mean, and you put this to your priest, as I would if I needed to, but, the St. John Cantius isn't a problem, speaking of the Catholic Church in Chicago. One of the few bright lights. But I mean, put this to whoever you want to put it to, all the sentimental barbarians that are within your circles of communication. $1 billion plus, we know, has been spent of your money, of our collective money in Illinois, providing health care services to migrants. $1 billion plus. We know this.
Well, yeah, they live for free. They get clothes for free. They get 3 meals a day, and they have health care if they need it, and a van to drive them around.
And that doesn't include what's been spent in the city of Chicago at the local level, repurposing $90 million in COVID funds here and authorizing $50 million here. Real money. And against that backdrop, Illinois families who have a family member with a developmental intellectual disability, are faced with a proposed $87 million budget cut. This is something that Illinois Department of Human Services proposed. So you're going to spend billions on people who are in this country illegally. And I'm not talking about denying people in need health care or anything like that. The whole point is the philosophy. People people that are here who shouldn't be here, not in the way that they came here. You want to go through the immigration process? Fine. You want to reform the immigration process? Fine. We can have this conversation. You want to open up the doors and say, bum rush the place? Not fine. Simple. And it's also simple to say, you tell me, since you, Father, the clergy, are supposed to be an arbiter of things moral and celestial, you tell me how that is righteous. To take $1 billion from people who work hard for the money that the state extracts from them, and the state promises to take that money that it extracts from them and do certain things that generally everyone agrees with. And there's not a lot, but one of them is providing services to people who need those services through no fault of their own. I don't see a lot of opposition to providing quality services through social service providers and or the state to people who need them because they have an intellectual and developmental disability. Not much opposition to it, but they're easy to go after because they're not really that politically powerful. And so, and it's also, I mean, it's chump change, as I said earlier in this week, $87 million in a state budget of $55 billion. And given, again, the context of what we're spending on people who shouldn't be here, who are. So you want to have a conversation about morality? Because, every budget is a morality document. It's a moral document, it's moral decisions. Right. So you explain to me how that is the righteous position, Father, Cardinal, etc. Mary Kay in Western Springs, quickly.
Hi, God, Dan. Everything you say makes so much sense to me. I'm so glad I wake up and listen to this every day. So West Acres Street was the street where the five murders happened. My aunt lives right down the street from that. She's 97, and my cousin pushes her down the street in her wheelchair. They could have been out there easily and just got off real quick. And so there it is visiting me through family members out in Joliet.
Thanks for the call, Mary Kay. We got to go, but I appreciate the call. Thank you.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, we'll continue this conversation with somebody who is attempting to live his values in Chicago on the matter of housing migrants. 6:06.
But first, with the weather forecast today, a high of 40 degrees, light rain and fog. It is now 6 a.m. WIND, Chicago.
He got what he asked for. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what Alabama's governor said after convicted killer Kenneth Smith was put to death in a brand new way.
Smith was executed for the 1988 capital murder of Elizabeth Dorleen Sennett.
And Alabama Corrections Commissioner John Hamm says that execution, a suffocation, went as expected, with Smith struggling a little bit. The witnesses say he convulsed for several minutes, appearing to gasp for air.
The first person in the country to be executed with nitrogen gas. To carry it out, a mask is put over the inmate's face and air is replaced with pure nitrogen gas. Kenneth Smith chose the nitrogen gas method after the first lethal injection attempt didn't work.
Fox's Connor Hansen. Evan Gershkovich was back in court in Moscow, where the American journalist was ordered to stay behind bars through March, when it'll be a year since the Wall Street Journal reporter was arrested, accused of being a spy that he and the Journal deny. The U.S. says Gershkovich is wrongfully detained, demanding Russia release him. Texas is facing a federal deadline today in a border standoff amid a record surge of illegal immigration.
The biggest mistake the Biden administration could make would be confronting law enforcement or our military, our National Guard, at our border, at this park.
Republican Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick has 25 other GOP-led states support Texas, which put up razor wire in a park in Eagle Pass to keep migrants out. The Supreme Court has ruled U.S. border agents should be allowed to go in and cut that wire. Democrats keep pushing a compromise on border security. Fox's Jared Halpern reports.
Republican leaders in the Senate said they have not walked away from talks, but some conservatives are questioning whether to support a potential agreement if it lacks support from the increasingly likely Republican nominee, former President Trump.
Trump's statement says they should say no to a deal that would also give military aid to Ukraine unless it's perfect. Britain's King Charles is hospitalized in London. He'll undergo a prostate operation. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 38 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. President Biden is announcing billions of dollars in new infrastructure projects across the country.
$5 billion investment led by the Department of Transportation for 37 major projects across America, including bridges, highways, ports, airports.
While speaking in Superior, Wisconsin, Biden announced $1 billion from his infrastructure law will be used to replace the Blatnick Bridge, which connects Wisconsin and Minnesota. The visit to the key battleground state comes as Biden's re-election campaign is highlighting the president's economic agenda ahead of the likely general election rematch against former President Trump. Many young adults aren't financially independent. That's according to a recent report from the Pew Research Center, which found that those aged 18 to 24 are most likely to rely on their parents for financial support. But the study also found that people in their early 30s also needed assistance, with almost 1 in 5 saying their folks help out with their household bills. There's a risk of flooding in parts of the Chicago area. The National Weather Service says flooding is possible due to a combination of rain, snowmelt, and heavy river ice. A flood watch is in effect until Monday in DuPage, Eastern Will, Kane, Kankakee, Kendall, Northern Will, Southern Cook, and Southern Will counties. News is a service of Dan and Amy 24/7. You can now enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock, all day, every day, including daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer. Listen now at danandamy247.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text ROCK to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text ROCK to 42424. That's ROCK to 42424.
Did you know high blood pressure is the #1 risk factor for mortality? 1 in 2 adults has high blood pressure. That's a 50-50 chance you're a walking time bomb. But you, not Big Pharma, can take control of your blood pressure before it's too late with 120 Life. 120 Life is a blend of great-tasting superfruit juices that can actually help lower your blood pressure. It's formulated with ingredients that have been shown to naturally help control high blood pressure, endorsed by thousands of health professionals. Try it yourself risk-free with their 2-week trial pack. Visit 120life.com. Use the code DENNIS to save 20% and receive free shipping. They're so sure that 120 Life can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give you your money back if it doesn't. Nothing to lose, just your high blood pressure numbers. Order now at 120life.com. Use the code DENNIS to save 20%. Offer ends January 31st.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak taking a look at the roads. It's starting to back up on the inbound Eisenhower, 26 minutes, 390 into the post office. That delay from Harlem to East Avenue. The Stevenson getting busy as well at 28 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan, a 14-minute trip to get from 95th Street into downtown. The express lanes Those are tightening up 35th to the Stevenson. Inbound Ford, pretty heavy, 115th into the Dan Ryan. It still looks good going in on the Edens, and there are no troubles to report on the inbound side of the Kennedy. Going over to the Skyway, that's wide open. I-57 also in good shape. DuSable Lakeshore Drive remains clear. Tri-State, Jane Addams, Reagan, and the Veterans Memorial Tollway, all good. Traffic is a service of the AM 560 store. Order t-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands, including Craft University and The Sean Thompson Show, when you go to 560theanswer.com/store. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Areas of fog this morning, rain and drizzle, high today 40, clouds and fog, a shower this evening, drizzle late, low 34. Dense fog tomorrow morning, cloudy and damp, the high Saturday at 39. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So in these times of migrants everywhere, and nary a Marxist who's opened their home, we have a counterexample. And I'm interested in how people will react to the story of Chris Amator and what he is doing with the properties that he owns in Chicago, Amy.
Yeah, he owns several buildings, and he has decided to give a gift from God. He said this is God's will. He went to Marquette University. He's been normally deals with residential properties on the South Side in Inglewood and Chatham and South Shore, but he has decided that he's going to open up 15 of his buildings, which he has done, and he is housing more than 443 adults and children from all over the world.
I just decided, hey, I got the heat on, I got gas, I got electric, water. I go, let's film and we'll worry about the details later.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line 64636, type in DA, then a quick comment. Now, Dan, he's not from Naperville, yet he signed up anyway. And this was the reason why. It was a cold day. It was, we had a string of days where it was just sub-zero temperatures.
I saw 5-year-olds with no jackets on the streets. I was taking my jacket off, putting it on them, and I'm like, tomorrow's going to be negative 14. I'm like, what's going on?
And Dan, he's encouraging other property owners to set up their abandoned buildings to do the same. I mean, is this guy a hero? Is he heavenly, or is he destroying their city?
Well, he got about 450 migrants he's providing residence to right now.
Mm-hmm. Adults and children, and they were waving in the windows when Channel 7. They're so happy. I mean, they're just happy to be out of the shelter and living on top of each other.
He owns a big multifamily building on South Shore neighborhood, right?
Mm-hmm. This one's on South Essex. I remember there was video of neighbors across the street. They tweeted out, they put it on TikTok. They say that these abandoned buildings were being invaded by illegals. Well, they weren't. They were invited in by Chris.
Yeah, just like they were invited into the country by Biden.
Exactly. Hey-o.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line 64636DA, turnkey.pro. Text line, what do you think about Chris Amator's gesture?
Well, there's one neighbor. Her name's Veronica Cotton. She's South Shore resident. She's since got a job. She's employed. But she was homeless with her son for 2 years, and she didn't get this kind of help.
Not saying that it's not right to help them, but it's not right for others not to get help as well.
Well, right. I mean, this is, Chris, that's not on Chris Amator, whenever she was in need and she wasn't able to get the help she required. But fair enough. I mean, her larger point, which is the point that many are making, is just the point we were making at the end of the hour, which is prioritizing non-resident, non-citizens with the resources of resident citizens who provide those resources to serve resident citizens has the order of priority reversed, doesn't it? Is that so complicated?
It kind of seems like a fire hazard, too, because that building on South Essex has 57 people in it. And I think there's about 6 or 8 units max, and that's a lot of people to pack in. But he said that the heat was on. I mean, he never cuts off the heat or water to any of his places, even if they're vacant. And he said that it was God's will.
I just decided to submit my free will and do God's plan, and I feel that, I'm just going to keep doing what is right, and wherever the chips fall, that's not up to me.
I mean, I'm stuck on this one. I don't know if he's a good Samaritan or if he's just wreaking havoc and creating chaos. Because the government's not keeping tabs on these people. If someone's there to take somebody out of a shelter, okay, I mean, not even if they're not there to even stop them.
Well, the question is he an accomplice or is he a good Samaritan? It would have been interesting to ask. Of course, the Chicago Press Corps wouldn't think to ask this question, but how are you making decisions about who you allow to live in the properties that you own?
Because some are children living with men that they don't know each other, and I don't know.
Well, do you know that? I don't know.
No, well,
I'm
that's
asking.
what they said, that in his one building, he has 57 people in one building, and some are adults and some are children. But I don't know who belongs to who or what's going on.
So that's my point.
Yeah.
So how are you making decisions about who you provide residence to in your buildings? Number one. Number two, how long do you think you can keep this up? Do you think this should be a permanent situation? Are you willing to make it a permanent situation? Or are you hoping that, yes, others follow your example for right now, particularly during the winter months, but you understand this is not a long-term solution to anything? I mean, I have not, look, this guy doesn't seem to be making a political statement. I think he's trying to, be, in service to his neighbor and help. He said, see a kid out in the freezing cold without a jacket. I mean, yeah, that's understandable. That would generate empathy and say, well, if I could do something, then I want to do something. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't really find anything wrong with what he's doing. He didn't make the policy. He's not telling Biden not to provide border security. He's not running around saying, yay, it's a sanctuary city. Yay, it's a sanctuary state. I mean, I don't know what his views are, but in terms of what he's doing and the way he described the basis for why he's doing it, that doesn't bother me.
This is from a black listener on the South Side. She said, Dan and Amy, the guy just wants the per head that goes along with the illegal, immigrants.
You mean the per
money.
Head rent from the city?
Yeah, but he didn't mention that, and I don't know.
Maybe.
She says, this is a disaster. Cultures don't mix. The illegals feel entitled, and they're arrogant and disrespectful. The property owner invited people in who hate the inhabitants of the neighborhood.
Well, I mean, I don't know that. I mean, and certainly, again, we're talking about tens of thousands of people now. So I don't like to make sweeping statements about people. The migrants, people here that are illegally, it's a mixed bag like the rest of humanity, like any slice of humanity. It's going to be a mixed bag, I suspect. And so what I would say is, if he's trying to do what those West Loop real estate titans we discussed earlier in the week are doing to monetize his property that's otherwise laying dormant, then okay, whatever. I mean, here's my thing, though. There's no reason to be punitive in the direction of the migrants as a general category. Right. I don't want to be punitive to anybody except anybody who would, is on the terror watch list or has committed a crime and has not been ejected. Yeah, I want to be punitive to those people. Not really punitive. I want to be just to Americans by getting them out. And rank order priority here. Predators out first. Right. Let's focus there and then work our way.
Drug use out.
But I mean, my suggestion would be, let's not be punitive in the direction of migrants. There's no need. And it takes focus away from the people we should be punitive with. And that's the politicians, of course.
Lots of text messages. Dan and Amy, he is an enabler. Dan, good luck getting them out when it's time to go.
Well, I mean, that's that texter's right. I mean, you think Tom Dart is going to enforce evictions if that's what it comes to? I mean, he's a sentimental barbarian just like the rest of them. He plays fast and loose with the law, with evictions based on the politics of it. Absolutely. He's too busy, trying to flesh out puppy pound so he can rescue them and get his picture in the paper. I mean, so I hear what you're saying. So that's the risk you take in Chicago. You take a risk opening a business in Chicago. You take a risk living in Chicago. You take a risk participating in the way that this guy is. But again, I don't find anything, disagreeable with his motivation, even if he is getting the per head, per diem, or per head, per month stipend or whatever the city is paying.
If they're not paying him now, I'm sure that they will. And then they'll encourage him to open up other buildings.
Well,
here's a text message. Yeah.
But speaking of, look, these newsrooms have room. We keep talking about other institutions. How about the Sun Times and the Tribune, NPR Times and the Tribune? They got nobody works there anymore. So why don't you create some space in those newsrooms too? The LA Times just laid off 115 people. They got an empty newsroom.
And mostly newsrooms have showers because they have gyms in their facilities. I'm just saying that's important. Not so they can shower too.
Oh, yeah, those reporters are in tip-top shape.
Dan, he's an idiot. If you feed a stray cat, they will bring others and never leave.
Okay, well, these aren't cats.
No, they're not cats. These are people. If you have two cats, you can end up with 70 cats by the springtime. I know how that works. Yes.
I get the metaphor, but again, let's look at this in context. First of all, the city is incompetent. Mm-hmm. All of the money that's being allocated and spent, and not to mention all of the nonprofits that exist, and you couldn't coordinate to provide winter clothing to people that get dropped off here. I mean, if you're going to do it, I don't want people to die. I don't want that little boy who died in Pilsen to have died. Nobody wants that. So again, there's no reason to be punitive in that direction. Punitive with BLM Brandon, punitive with Jelly Belly, punitive with the city council and the General Assembly and these complicit mayors, including in the suburbs. Yes. But let's, pump the brakes here. There's no reason to go over that. Tina and Joliet, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, good morning. Hey, I love that he became so motivated when God's plan included a monthly rent voucher from the taxpayers of this generous state. That I just find it. Listen, I agree with you. These people are being dropped off in freezing cold. They may not have a place to go. They may not have proper clothing. But let's not kid ourselves about what the motivation is here. He's probably getting paid more than market rate to house them, and he's passing it off that it was God's will. He had a conversation with God who said, hey, the city of Chicago is going to give you $9,000 worth of rent to house these folks, and he hopped all over it. Baloney.
All right, Tina, thanks for the call. Well, I mean, I would suggest that would have been a good question to ask, too. We don't know.
I know what.
We don't know yet. We'll find out, but we don't know yet.
Message.
But, if they just want to tell the Good Samaritan story, I mean, this is, of course, the sentimentalist press advancing their narrative. I mean, that's obviously the problem. But, again, this is not advocacy for the position, but would you rather have migrants in a police station?
See, I'd much rather have them in the abandoned buildings. Much rather that. And they look so happy and they're warm in there and they're fine, but they better not mess up. Like, people are watching them, so they've got to act like, as my attorney says, act like you're 3 months pregnant.
What?
No, my attorney, whatever.
What?
Always act like you're 3 months pregnant. That means when you're 3 months pregnant, you don't drink, you don't hang out at bars, you follow the rules, you don't speed. You're 3 months pregnant. You've never heard that term before?
I've never heard that term.
Really?
And now it applies to men because men can become pregnant.
You
I know
seahorse? Such a seahorse, Dan.
Seahorse dads.
Seahorse dads.
Hey, there could be soon. There could be a even better option for the migrants. I don't know if you saw this. This is really something. Talk about the ghettoization of Chicago, and yes, I mean that. That is not an accidental description. You don't think it can become Detroit? I know a lot of people don't. and it will take a lot longer. But they're pumping, or they are putting their foot down on the pedal, aren't they? Remember the old Fordham Spire site?
Yeah.
Right off Lakeshore Drive there. 400 North Lakeshore. That was going to be, this crown jewel of the city skyline. So much excitement a decade ago or so when that was slated before it didn't come to pass, of course. A massive development at 400 North Lakeshore, the old Fordham Spire site where the big hole is, will unite Lake Michigan with the Riverwalk, add green space, and earmark, wait for it, hundreds of units for Chicagoans making less than 50% of the area media income.
There goes Navy Pier. I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud?
I think Navy Pier's already been long gone, based on what I witness.
Well, that was in your backyard.
Exactly.
That was your backyard.
So, hundreds of units at this development, if it ever actually launches, making less than 50% of the area media income. Just wonder if there's any case studies in terms of how that works out. Anybody been to Presidential Towers lately?
That place has turned into a dump. That used to be the place, remember? In the 90s, it was anybody who was successful, young in their 20s, early 30s. They lived in Presidential Towers. We'd go to parties there. It was great.
It was that place.
Yeah, it was.
Right until the consequences of the low-income units, the number of low-income units set aside for low-income, right until that started to actually be implemented and take effect, and then the results that followed.
Yeah. I always tell the story. I lived in a building at Berteau and Ashland, and they had Section 8 housing that they brought in. And I was like, okay. And one family was great, and the other family was a disaster. Would just pee outside. Like, why? You got a bathroom in your house. Why do you got to pee on the side of the building?
I like to go au naturel. Yeah, so public housing projects don't work. Cabrini Green, Robert Taylor Homes. I mean, is this and making them fancy, or making them sort of diverse in terms of economics, but doing so from a position of government subsidy and government mandate? Okay. Tell you what, that's going to be, I don't know, it could be 100 100-story migrant shelter in the next few years, the way we're going.
Yeah, just do it. You know what? Let's let it all burn down. They took away school choice. They're doing the charter schools. They're not signing 10-year contracts. They're doing 1 to 4 year contracts.
Oh, yeah, they're on the chopping block.
Yeah.
As soon as you can start closing schools again, which is next year, the charter schools are on the chopping block. Of course.
Because it's not fair, the lottery system and blah, blah, blah. I watched that whole Chicago Public School Board meeting yesterday and wanted to rip my hair out.
Steve, Norwood Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yes, I just wanted to call in somewhat defense of Amsor. I've known the guy since grade school. He really is a self-made guy, and there's nothing disingenuous about him. There's no other sort of ill intention or trying to make a point. He really is just a nice guy who, if he sees somebody that needs something, he's the guy to help out.
That you're talking about Chris Amator. You went to you've known him since grade school, you said.
Right. Yeah.
Where'd you guys grow up in the city?
Edison Park.
Okay. Good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that.
So, I messaged him too to see if I told him you guys were talking about him, so I messaged to see maybe if he'd call and talk to you guys. But
yeah, I'd love to talk to him.
He really is just a really, really great guy.
Honestly, that's the way he struck me. I mean, that's why that's the way it struck me. And he didn't get into politics and stuff like this. It makes sense what he saw, and then he was motivated to do something. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, in fact, there's something redeeming about it.
Yes, and being successful, he's made his money, he's happy, and he, like I say, he's more than willing to share.
You don't know anything about, does he have an arrangement with the city for rental assistance or anything like that, do you?
I don't know about any of those details. That's why I figured, I messaged him. I'm waiting for him to get back to me. I don't know what his schedule is in the morning, but if he gets back to me, I'll have him give you guys,
please do.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to him. Thanks for the call, Steve. Look, if Steve from Norwood Park vouches for him, I mean, that's good enough for me. You know,
that's all we need to know. I mean, he seems genuine. He seems sincere. He seems like a godly man who wants to give back. I don't have a problem with it. The residents in that neighborhood do for some reason, but we got a text message saying, Dan and Amy, Black and Central American people do not mix.
Well, I don't know what that.
What did that mean?
I don't know what that means. I mean,
somebody
okay.
call in, whoever texted that in, and explain if you can. 312-642-5600.
Norwood Park, Norwood Park Steve, as we now call him,
Yeah.
since we've known him for 3 seconds.
Best friends.
There's like regular guy kind of. It's pretty. That's pretty good. Edison Park too.
Well, moved from Edison Park to Norwood Park. Norwood Park's a suburb of Edison Park. You know how that works over there.
Yeah, good people in Norwood Park. I mean, except for their representation, that 20 pounds of dung in a 10-pound bag they call Bob Martwick. Scum that he is. So I don't know. So maybe actually upon further reflection, maybe there is some concern about the judgment there. Susie, North Side.
Good morning. I got a statement and a question.
Okay.
The administration has done a disservice to all of us, including the migrants. But Dan, isn't it true, depending on the population, you gain more seats in the House and electoral votes? I'll wait for your answer.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's right. Thanks for the call, Susie. No, I get it. People are making that argument that as Illinoisans flee, you got to replace them with something so we don't lose more members of Congress and more political power.
God forbid if we lost a congressional seat. And according to the census, they do count illegals as they're counted as citizens.
George in Naperville.
I speak English today.
Dan, this man helping the migrants does sound like a wonderful guy, but what is he going to do when these migrants start demanding improvements in the buildings and, complaints? He's going to need interpreters. I mean, this could be also turn into a major headache for the man.
Well, I guess it could. He could just hire Schneider for one day at a time to be the building super.
No, make somebody be Schneider. Find the leader in the group there out of the 57. Find there's got to be a handy person in there. Someone's got to be, and then start rehabbing the building. I mean, if you're going to live there and stay there for free, don't you think they should do some work? I mean, they were taking down the windows were boarded up, so they were helping out taking those down yesterday.
Yeah. All right. Well, get
moving. Just start doing it.
Get Bookman from Good Times and Schneider from One Day at a Time, and get them both over there.
And I'll give them
co-manage the building.
Keyring, and they can put it on their belt.
All right. Bane in Downers Grove loved you in Dark Knight.
Actually, it's Dean. Thanks,
Dean.
Dean. I like Bane better.
No.
I don't know how we missed that, but all right. Gonna have to check the hearing of our screener. Go ahead, Dean.
Hi, Dan, Amy. I'm actually a contractor. Been in concrete business, coatings, a number of different things. But I used to be a GC for a large commercial contractor, and we're seeing a lot of the commercial spaces, especially coming up. I think in the next year, we're going to see a lot of them being forfeited. But the problem with those spaces, converting them, it's not really applicable for residential. It'd be like building cells basically in those places.
Right.
There's some other things happening in the construction industry nationwide. Habitat for Humanity is building houses with 3D concrete printing, and these houses are being put up in like 8 days. They're like 500 square foot houses. They're made basically like mud huts. And, very, very well insulated, very energy efficient. A lot of the 3D printing technology for this stuff is coming from Europe. There's a company called 3D Buffalo Printing that's starting to do some stuff with these places. But, I mean, as we look at the landscape of the United States, there's, 48% of the land has 80% of the population. So, we've got a lot of open space and areas to kind of assimilate these people with this problem that we're having in communities that could, possibly just put mental, and work, trade, all those schools, within a community and kind of take it away from this metropolitan problem that we're having. But we do need, we do need people that work in the city to have places to live because, coming from the suburbs to the city costs you $50 just to, crossing the Cook County.
Yeah. All right, thanks for the call, Dean. Appreciate it. Yeah, well, I'll tell you, Northerly Island sounds like a great place for those mud huts.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that'd be nice mud hut village there. All right, coming up at 6:36, we'll talk a little bit more about what's happening in commercial real estate and the economy writ large with Chris Whalen, New York investment banker, 6:36.
But first, let's head into the newsroom. Nikki Whaley in for Mike Scott.
Good morning. It's 38 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The defense is resting in former President Trump's New York defamation damages trial. Trump returned to the courtroom Thursday and briefly testified in his defense. The International Court of Justice is expected to rule today on South Africa's claim that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. The UN judges won't decide if genocide has occurred in the war against Hamas, but will rule on South Africa's call for emergency measures against Israel. And the Lake County Coroner's Office is identifying the Barrington High School student who was struck and killed by a Metra train. Marin Lackason was hit by a train yesterday morning on the railroad tracks at the intersection of Route 59 and Main Street. The 17-year-old was a junior at the high school who was in the Chinese immersion program and a member of the lacrosse team. The incident remains under investigation. News is a service of Dan and Amy 24/7. You can now enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock all day, every day, including daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer. Listen now at danandamy247.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Frank Vance, co-owner of Egan Vance Insurance Agency on Chicago's Northwest Side and a customer of Signature Bank. In my line of work, we pride ourselves on being there for our clients when they need it the most, and we recognize when someone does the same for us. As Egan Vance was expanding, we wanted to buy a much sought-after building in the neighborhood. We couldn't waste any time. I called Signature Bank, and that was all it took. I didn't have to talk to multiple people in siloed departments with multiple forms to fill out. One call did it all. As the one who was always looking out for my clients, it was a great change to know that my bank, Signature Bank, was looking out for me.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Well, I've been taking it for some time. We saw the ad, and we thought we would give it a try. And I noticed after the first month, we just felt better. I told my doctor, too, and she said, this sounds like a really good product for you to be taking. We plan to take it for life.
I ran this by my doctor. I always run it by her, everything I take, and I told her I've been taking this for a while. Is this okay to take? She goes, oh, this is wonderful for you to take. Keep taking it. She goes, I approve this. This is very good. So she said, yes. She said, this is one thing you can take that's very good. I'm not going to stop taking Balance of Nature.
Step into the new year with a new you. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code Chicago.
Have you saved enough? What are you going to do with Social Security? What will your taxes look like in retirement? Scott Tucker believes retirement planning should be easy, and you should be able to get all the information you need in one place. That's why Scott created the Retirement Decoded Toolkit, a comprehensive resource for your retirement. In it, you'll find a copy of his latest book, Escape Illinois: Should I Stay or Should I Go? This book will provide insight on taxes, Social Security, income, and more. To get your free Retirement Decoded Toolkit, text KIT, K-I-T, to 847-474-3888 or go to retirementdecoded.com. Now, in addition to the book, you'll also receive resources on retirement's most common concerns. Get your Retirement Decoded Toolkit from Scott Tucker right now by texting KIT to 847-474-3888 or go to retirementdecoded.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC. A registered investment advisor, this is a paid placement.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchek taking a look at the roads. Highland Park 41 in Clavey. Beware of an accident on that. If you're heading inbound on the Kennedy, it is a 19-minute trip in from O'Hare to downtown. 26 on the inbound Eisenhower, 390 into the post office. Stevenson travel time is a half hour to get into DuSable Lakeshore Drive from 3:55. Inbound Dan Ryan holding at 16 minutes, 95th on in. Express are tight. Pershing to the Stevenson. Inbound Ford sluggish, 111th into the Dan Ryan. DuSable Lakeshore Drive is okay, and it looks like all the tollways are moving quickly. This report is sponsored by Discover. If you like using debit over credit, shouldn't you also get rewarded? Well, now you can with Discover Cashback Debit. It's a checking account that rewards everyone with a cashback on everyday purchases, with no fees, period. Check out eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashbackdebit. Discover Bank member FDIC. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Areas of fog around today. Rain and drizzle, high 40. Clouds and fog, a shower this evening. Drizzle late, low 34. Dense fog tomorrow. Cloudy and damp, the high tomorrow at 39. Clouds Sunday, the high again 39. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. California is going to be a land of nomadic tribes. They're going to have to go back in time to horses and buggies and so forth if they're going to meet that 2035 demand by Governor Patrick Bateman to eliminate cars with combustion engines, right? I say that because the big automakers are slashing production of their EV fleets. Ford slashing production of its F-150 Lightning that has been plagued with defects. There have been recalls. It sold 24,000 of them last year and lost roughly $36,000 on each EV in the third quarter of last year. So now Ford's cutting its production at its plant in Michigan while increasing output of the gas-powered Bronco SUV and Ranger pickup. Jim Farley giving you the corporate speak on this. We're taking advantage of our manufacturing flexibility to offer consumers choices while balancing our growth and profitability. Right. Thank you, Jim. GM told its Chevy dealers to stop selling its Blazer SUV owing to software and other problems. Consumer Reports survey in November found new EVs have 79% more problems than internal combustion cars. And of course, we talked before about Hertz selling off a third of its global EV fleet, buying more gas-powered cars. So what's going on? Are the subsidies not big enough? Is that it? For more on this and other matters economic, we're pleased to be joined by our friend Chris Whalen. Chris Whalen is an investment banker, chairman of Whalen Global Advisors, author of Ford Men, From Inspiration to Enterprise, and editor of the Institutional Risk Analyst. Chris Whalen, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy.
So is Jim Farley a modern-day Henry Ford?
No, he can add and subtract, though.
Yeah, he can.
You know, the EV phenomenon in the U.S. and around the world is kind of like Mao's Great Leap Forward. It was driven all by politics. It ignores the science completely. You know, in Ford Men, I recount the conversations between Thomas Edison and Henry Ford, and both of them wanted to build electric cars. They saw it, right? They said, God, we want electric cars. But the problem is that the physics of batteries are not good. They just don't work with cars. So what we've seen again is that the progressives in the U.S. said, oh, we have to do EVs, and you talked about California. That's not going to happen. You know, California will have to change their law, and they will have to admit that we're not there yet until we can put some sort of mechanism to generate electricity inside of a car. It's just not going to be practical. And who said this? The chairman of Toyota. I was so amazed when the little green morons were arguing with the chairman of Toyota, one of the most impressive corporations in the world. And the Japanese know about electronic things, don't they? They're really good at it.
Well,
and he
I've
said,
heard.
no,
Yeah.
hybrids are probably the best idea.
Yes.
They're the most practical.
I love
And he
the
was
hybrid.
ridiculed for this because these morons don't understand the science. So here we are.
What does
Yeah,
that
but it-
mean for Tesla, or Tulsa, as Biden calls that company?
Who just missed their earnings
play
target,
that?
by the
It's
way.
so funny.
The
Yeah.
stock got trashed.
Elon Musk needs enough money to keep Twitter going, so we're a little concerned.
They may force Elon out of Tesla. You know, the
Really?
board has enough oomph, I think, now to get rid of him. There's this lady shareholder activist I keep seeing on CNBC who doesn't like Mr. Musk out smoking dope. So, you know, we live in strange times, guys.
Well, yeah, all these environmentalists and people are like, oh, we have to have green energy. Have they ever looked online and seen any of these Chilean or Chinese lithium-ion battery mines and the child laborers that are in there digging down deep? I mean, it's
It's not good.
It's
Anything with
inhumane.
lithium is bad.
Oh, my
Anything with
God.
lithium is bad. So look, down the road, will we have electrification? Yes, we will. But the science isn't quite there yet. And this is the reality. So you want to get involved, you want to save gas, get a hybrid. They're fine. You know,
Look.
the science actually works, but the pure electric cars, no.
Gavin Newsom is not going to be stopped by science, Chris.
Well, he'll be stopped by economics, though, as you
Well,
pointed
I
out
don't
with
know.
the Ford. You know, the
Yeah.
Lightning is a cool vehicle, but you can't make it economically for this market. Nobody's going to pay for it.
I wanted to get to your reaction, just now macro, in terms of the economy. The numbers out yesterday: 2.5% GDP growth last year, 3.1% in the fourth quarter, and government spending and the consumer spending of the money the government printed. That's the way to keep the prosperity rolling along, right?
Oh, no. This is another one of these great historical parallels going back to the 1920s. We're in the roaring 20s right now, guys. And this time around, it's not funded with speculation and private sector activity. It's funded with government. So we can make this economy look like it's growing if we borrow enough money. Remember when PepsiCo got into the restaurant business? They bought Taco Bell and all these things, and they kept pouring money into them, and they said, look how great this is. But they were getting annihilated financially. And it was only down the road they looked at the debt they had accumulated, and they said, oh, maybe this isn't working. And they sold the restaurants and got out. Frito-Lay, that was another one that they owned for a while. So this is on a larger scale what we're doing with the U.S. We are subsidizing current expenditures with debt. And Janet Yellen is creating a real problem in the Treasury market because she's funding all of this with T-bills.
Mm-hmm.
All of this is inside of 1 year. So what happens when she can't roll all that short-term debt? And meanwhile, they're not issuing 10 years and 7 years and 30-year bonds because they don't like the price. This is like electric cars, right? Oh, we don't like the price. So she's going to hand this mess to Donald Trump. And I think Trump is going to need a really good Secretary of the Treasury.
Well, what
Actually understands what's going on.
She was out having breakfast with our governor yesterday. Yes. A little photo op there.
I know she was in Chicago giving a speech.
Yeah, well, she had breakfast with him first, and he cleared their plate.
Yeah. She may have to resuscitate that Captain Kangaroo program she used to host when she goes into retirement.
I miss Captain Kangaroo.
Yeah.
Those were better days.
Simple times, yeah.
So you said that when they can't roll the debt. So what is the circumstance in which that would occur?
Typically, when we're auctioning Treasury debt, you want to have at least 2 to 3 bids for every bond you want to sell. In other words, you want a crowd in the room. Most recently, the crowd has gotten down to 2 bids for every bond you want to sell. If it goes down below 1, that becomes a negotiation, okay? Then you're a troubled debtor. You're Argentina.
Yeah, but what is the scenario in which that happens to the United States, where the perception is, and certainly the belief is, that we're still the tallest skyscraper in Wichita?
Well, we are, but look at the comparisons. Look at look at China. Are we worried about China anymore? Come on, guys. That whole thing is going to implode because of the Communist Party. They're no better at economic management than Joe Biden is with his electronic vehicles, right?
So you're saying, so you're looking at it the other way. You're saying when countries like China implode, now we don't have anybody to buy our debt. That's the problem.
No, it's not that. Mostly we finance our debt ourselves. Hedge funds, the basis trade. That's how we sell Treasury bonds.
So if we're not worried about on the buying side, and we're just worried about the finance side, then what are we worried about? I mean, is it really debt if you don't intend to pay it back?
It gets too big. See, the U.S. has, in 2008, we got rid of a lot of firms that used to sell Treasury bonds. Bear Stearns, Washington Mutual, all of them had primary dealers. And these people sold bonds in Treasury auctions. They're all gone. So the only firms we have left are big banks that don't want to take any risk because they're heavily regulated, too much. And then on the other hand, we have all these happy hedge funds that use lots of leverage. And they basically buy the Treasury bonds and do a risk-free trade and ride it down until the next auction, right? So when you look at it that way, you say, well, where's my constituency for my auctions? Who am I going to sell bonds to next month? And the question is, we don't know. The answer is unfortunate. So that's kind of where we are on the Treasury. I think it's unsustainable. I think Yellen is trying to pretend that she didn't make a mistake in 20 and 21 with spending. And, we're at $35, $36 trillion worth of debt, and a lot of it's front-loaded. A lot of it's short-term. So we have to start issuing longer-term debt if we're going to manage this situation. And that means that long-term interest rates are going to go up, Dan, for the first time in decades. We could actually see a normal yield curve where Fed funds is down at, say, 4, and the 10-year bond is at 6 or 7. Now, what does that do to the mortgage market? Because we price 30-year mortgages off of the 10-year Treasury. Mm-hmm. We don't price it off Fed funds. So I think we're looking at a normalization of the interest rate markets, and the catalyst is the fiscal problems of the U.S. Treasury.
And so, what's your sort of prognosis for this election year? What is this election year? What does the economy look like going into November?
It's interesting. I'm not expecting a consumer recession. Everybody keeps looking for that. It's not going to happen. It's in commercial real estate. It's going to take years. And I think we muddle along for 3 or 4 more years, and then we have a big reset around 2027, 28.
I want to get your take on something we were talking about before you joined us. I don't know how familiar you are with the Chicago real estate market. This is on the residential side, but there was a huge project that was slated a decade ago called the Fordham Spire. You familiar with that? You remember that?
It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, there's 100 stories, and I can't think of the Argentinian architect, but the celebrated architect. It was really cool looking, and people were, pre-buying it, and that was when Chicago wasn't disintegrating before our very eyes, or not yet, at least. So now. It's been a hole just like a hole where they had started to dig the foundation for the last decade plus. So now the news is that Related Midwest has gotten $500 million in financing for the former Fordham Chicago Spire site. And our mayor, BLM Brandon Johnson, is pretty excited about it because it's going to unite Lakeshore with Lakeshore Drive and Lake Michigan with the Riverwalk, add green space, and earmark hundreds of units for Chicagoans making less than 50% of the area median income.
Great. Who's going to pay for it?
Well, right. I mean, it's sort of sort of next level up public housing project at a certain point.
Yes, and we're seeing similar conversations in New York. And the question is, who is going to pay for it? Because you cannot tax individual apartment owners or tenants enough to cover the operating costs for the city. That's the issue. You need business. But if you chase all the business people to Indiana, in your case, well, who's going to pay for it? And we have the same problem here in New York. We've chased everybody out. We said they're the enemy, and they've laughed. They're building developments in Texas and the Carolinas and everything else. And meanwhile, there's no way for New York to address their housing issues because they've told all the capital, no, leave, we don't like you anymore. So it's great stuff.
And they don't even want Trump's
all of
business.
Manhattan.
Yeah, but they don't even want Trump's business anymore, which is, I mean,
No, that's
they
okay.
changed the law to go after him, and it just makes me crazy.
Yeah, but these states are going to end up looking like Eastern Europe in the 1960s. That's where we're going to be because they won't have any capital, and they will be consuming capital in order to keep those nice people in those apartments. The city will go bust, is what's going to happen. They won't have the tax base to maintain services. We've seen that in, remember?
Already happening.
Flint. Think
Well,
about
Det-
Flint on a larger scale.
Well, think about Detroit on a larger scale, right?
Detroit on a larger scale.
Yeah.
That's right.
How's that Detroit Renaissance coming along?
Well, it's organic
We are
farming.
living through a silly time because when the Fed messed with interest rates, it wasn't about economics, it was about politics. And when you tell people things are free and have no cost, they go out and do stupid things, and that's what we've seen.
By the way, an alert texter, Calatrava is the architect for the original Fordham Spire, and he's from Santiago, Chile, not Argentina. So I stand corrected.
Better.
Yeah.
Better.
Dan,
Yeah,
get
very
it
good.
right.
Well,
All right.
look at Argentina. Argentina probably has the most with it, conservative leader in the world, and he's
Yeah.
got a country that is bankrupt. He wants to dollarize the whole thing. Watch that process. It's going to be very painful because that means they've got to push local prices up and up and up, and then they're going to convert to dollars one day.
Well, he's got it right. Milei did at the World Economic Forum. The government is the problem. The state is the problem.
He's channeling Ronald Reagan. I love it.
So do I. And, once he gets through that dollarization, the people that left Chicago for Florida or Arizona may be on their way to Argentina next. Christopher.
Much of the rest of the region is de facto dollarized. So across the border in Uruguay, everything is indexed to dollars, even in local currency. So real estate transactions, anything large, imports, exports, it's all done in dollars.
Chris Whalen's investment banker, chairman of the Whalen Global Advisors, author of the book Ford Men, From Inspiration to Enterprise, and editor for the Institutional Risk Analyst. Chris, thanks as always.
Have a great day, guys.
Thanks, you too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Would you go to court without a lawyer when the other guy is lawyered up? Or are you going to go it alone and learn law and procedure as you go? When you have an insurance claim for your home or business, it's the same thing.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company.
Insurance companies will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them. Not you.
If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%, and we could do the same for you. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at crosscominc.com. That's crosscominc.com. Crosscom, building trust for over 20 years.
I might take my Balance of Nature early because it's fun here today at this station, and I need to feel good that I'm doing something for myself. Taking care of the tempo, getting enough fruits and veggies, which I'm not getting on my own, and that's where Balance of Nature comes in. 31 whole fruits and vegetables. I take 6 fruit and 6 vegetable capsules. What they do is they take the fruits and veggies and they turn them into powder after an advanced vacuum cold process. which stabilizes the maximum nutrient content. Real food, real nutrition. So get the nutrition your body needs and get the nutrition your body craves. Just try it out. Be proactive. 800-246-8751. That's a number to call. First timers get free shipping and 35% off their first preferred order and a big jug of fiber and spice for free. 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago or go online to balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
Terrorist attacks against Israel, escalating threats of a third world war, natural disasters, and civil unrest are causing people to wonder, are we living in the end times?
In his new book, Are We Living in the End Times?, trusted pastor and best-selling author Dr. Robert Jeffress provides solid biblical answers to 7 key questions, including, what role does Israel play in the end times? What 5 headlines will signal we are in the end times? And how can you prepare for the end times? Are We Living in the End Times by Dr. Robert Jeffress is available right now at ptv.org and wherever fine books are sold.
Jesus said, no one knows the hour or day of his return, which is why we should be ready at all times. Jesus is coming back to earth one day. Are you ready? Get your copy of my new book, Are We Living in the End Times? By going to ptv.org or wherever fine books are sold.
For armed or unarmed security, average isn't good enough. You deserve more. You need more.
Morrison means more.
Morrison Security. More deterrence and prevention with customized programs that fit your budget. Cost-effective, sensible solutions for all businesses and facilities.
Morrison means more.
More peace of mind, knowing your security guards are well-trained professionals with a track record of getting results and serving exactly your needs. Morrison Security personnel are constantly trained for readiness and are prepared for any given situation that can occur at a job site.
Morrison means more.
More reliability of management for quick and effective solutions at your property. Morrison Security is responsive. They're always available to you.
Morrison means more.
More awareness of any challenges you face with protecting people, property, and assets. For armed and unarmed security, don't settle for substandard or average. Security is too important. Contact them and find out how you can get more. MorrisonSecurity.com. MorrisonSecurity.com.
Morrison means more.
Would you like a new home or $450,000 for only $100? You heard correctly. Gaelic Park Charities is excited to announce its $650,000 home or cash raffle. Hello, this is John Quinn, the voice of Irish sports and special events at Chicago Gaelic Park. On the 24th of March 2024, we're raffling off a new construction, 2-story, single-family home located in the heart of Chicago's Mount Greenwood neighborhood. This beautiful custom home has 4 bedrooms and 2.5 baths with all the modern touches. The neighborhood has excellent schools, parks and amenities, and if you're not in the market for a new home, the winner can opt for a $450,000 cash prize instead. The proceeds of each $100 ticket benefit Gaelic Park Charities, a registered 501c3 dedicated to promoting and preserving Irish heritage and culture in Chicagoland. Purchase your tickets at ChicagoGaelicParkHouseRaffle.com. That's Chicago Gaelic, Gaelic, parkhouseraffle.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Per our discussion about EVs, I just got a note from a friend of ours in the car business. He got an email, $20 million in EVs. Avis is trying to unload as well. So it's not just Hertz. Mm-hmm.
They're going to get rid of all of them because when you rent a car, the last thing you want to do is find a charging station while you're on vacation. All right, today we're going to have rain, light, fog, a high of 40 degrees at 7 a.m. WIND Chicago.
He is still trapped in Russia. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. And an American journalist accused of being a spy has to stay there even longer.
Pretrial detention's been extended for Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich through March. He's been in prison in Moscow since last March. Russian authorities accuse him of collecting information constituting a state secret about the activities of one of the enterprises in Russia's military-industrial complex. He's denied the allegations. The U.S. says he's being wrongfully detained.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. First in Alabama, Kenneth Smith was executed by nitrogen gas 14 months after a lethal injection failed when they couldn't put an IV in. Witnesses say after the mask was put on Smith's face last night, he convulsed for several minutes and gasped for air.
The state called it perhaps the most humane method of execution ever devised. They added such treatment is much better than Smith gave Elizabeth Sennett nearly 36 years ago. Smith was convicted twice for his role in the grisly murder-for-hire death of Elizabeth Sennett in 1988.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff. Texas appears unwilling to comply with a Biden administration deadline today to let U.S. border agents into an Eagle Pass Park, where the Supreme Court ruled they should be allowed to go, to cut razor wire Texas agents put up to keep migrants out.
25 Republican governors are siding with Abbott, signing a joint statement in support of Texas. South Dakota's Kristi Noem is one of them, and she is heading to the border today.
I am willing to send National Guard down there to stand alongside.
And while Texas invokes its constitutional right to defend itself, the White House is refusing to say if Biden is considering federalizing the state's National Guard.
Fox's Brooke Singman. Former President Trump's urging Republicans in Congress to reject border policy changes that could be in a Senate compromise with Democrats unless it's a perfect deal. Now, this morning, the former president is expected to attend closing arguments at a civil defamation trial in New York the day after he testified, denying author E.G. Carroll's claims he sexually assaulted her decades ago, then defamed her, denying it. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 39 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The White House is hopeful senators can soon strike a deal on border security and Ukraine aid. That's what Principal Deputy Press Secretary Olivia Dalton told reporters. Her comments come after news reporters are indicating the deal may be in jeopardy. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is touting Bidenomics as a policy that puts the middle class ahead of the wealthiest Americans. While addressing the Economic Club of Chicago yesterday, Yellen says the economy has seen job growth, low employment, a record stock market, and receding inflation. The Brooklyn native argued that President Biden's economic policies have helped the U.S. recover more quickly from the pandemic than other nations. A 14-year-old girl is in critical condition following a shooting on Chicago's west side. Police say the teen was in a vacant lot last night in the 3000 block of West Lexington Street when someone in a passing vehicle opened fire. The victim was hit multiple times and hospitalized. Detectives are investigating. New government data shows the U.S. economy grew faster than expected during the last quarter of 2023. The Commerce Department reported Thursday the country's gross domestic product increased by 3.3% year over year in 2023's fourth quarter. News is a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency providing high-performing digital solutions to surround your target audience. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
If you listen to the mainstream media and the Democrats, you'd think it was a sin to be black and conservative. Well, John Anthony blows up that perception every week on Black and Right. Join John tomorrow afternoon at 4 when he pushes back against the left and its regressive, progressive agenda that tries to dictate how people should think or feel about politics. Listen to Black and Right tomorrow afternoon at 4, right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text ROCK to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text ROCK to 42424. That's ROCK to 42424.
Attention business owners and anyone who makes some marketing decisions for your company. Amy Jacobson here. It's a new year, and what are you doing to jumpstart your business and reach new customers? If you do the same thing you did in 2023, then you should expect the same results. But we have some good news. We still have opportunities for you to become a Food for the Poor business benefactor. Make a one-time tax-deductible donation of $2,500, and AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air right here on this radio station. That gift will feed more than 60 children in Latin America and the Caribbean for an entire year. And you'll reach a new audience of potential customers. Don't wait. Call Anjanette Natowski right now, 847-472-8951. That's 847-472-8951. Or visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak taking a look at the road southbound I-55 at Bluff Road. Beware of an accident, a semi in the ditch. We have crews on the scene for that. Inbound Eden's wide open. 25 minutes on the inbound Kennedy, O'Hare into the Chamberlain interchange. There are tie-ups in the express lanes from Western to Armitage. Eisenhower, a 45-minute ride, 390 into the post office. Some potholes reported near Keeler, so a heads up on that. And the Stevenson, 48 minutes from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Inbound side of the Dan Ryan, a 20-minute trip. Those express type 43rd to the Stevenson. Inbound I-57 slows 99 to the Ryan. Ford tied up inbound 111th into the Ryan and the Tri-State North. Stop and go from the Reagan to the Eisenhower. Traffic is a service of Dan and Amy 24/7. You can now enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock all day, every day, including daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer. Listen now at danandamy247.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Areas of fog this morning, rain and drizzle, high today 40, clouds and fog, a shower this evening, drizzle late, low 34. Dense fog tomorrow morning, cloudy and damp, the high Saturday at 39. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. When you combine Marxism with weird science, there's no telling what you can accomplish. We got to do a little bit of a COVID hunk here. It's been a minute. And there are some updates that are relevant. You know, just the end of humanity. At the World Economic Forum there in Davos, there was a deep discussion about Disease X. What is it?
Well, no. What is it, Dan? Dun, dun, dun. Sounds sinister.
I don't know what it is, but the World Health Organization, brought to you by the Chinese Communist Party, said the world could face a pandemic 20 times worse than COVID-19 in the future. They're calling it Disease X, and they're working on it. They'll let you know when they've got it figured out.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. Dr. Dan Proft, what are the symptoms? What do I have to look out for?
It's
I'm scared.
Made up. They're still working on. They're still working on how they're going to kill you. So they'll let you know when they're ready. It's a hypothetical pathogen. That's being used to plan for future health crises because these global public health leaders are so forward-looking. Preparing for Disease X was the name of the panel discussion in Davos that was actually coined some 6 years ago. Scientists say that the most likely culprit for Disease X would be a respiratory virus, possibly one already circulating in animals that hasn't yet made the jump to humans. Look out for those pangolins again.
Don't do dirty things with animals. Watch your wet markets, people. Come on.
All right. Well, so you say, well, that's hypothetical. What are you talking about? Well, there are top men working on this. Top men. In a Wuhan study, Chinese scientists are experimenting with a mutant COVID-19 strain that is 100% lethal to humanized mice. What is a humanized mouse?
I don't even know.
A resident of Hinsdale?
Heyo.
Thank you. The deadly virus that we're probably underwriting the production of. You know, the NIH likes to subsidize these mad scientists. The deadly virus known as GXP2V attacked the brains of mice that were engineered to reflect genetic makeup similar to people. This is out of Beijing, by the way. Of course it is. The study of these humanized mice with this mutant COVID-19 strain. This is the top line. This underscores the results, the mice being killed. A spillover risk of GXP2V into humans and provides a unique model for understanding the pathogenic mechanisms of SARS-CoV-2 related viruses. Thank you. All the mice that were infected with the virus died within just 8 days. That was a surprisingly rapid death rate, according to the Chinese Communist Party. Infected the lungs, bones, eyes, tracheas, and brains of the dead mice, the last of which was severe enough to ultimately cause the death of the animals. Jeez. Wow, it sounds terrifying, doesn't it? Right up until you talk to some experts. Francois Ballot, an epidemiology at University College London, called the research terrible and scientifically pointless. A pretty well-respected chemistry and chemical biology professor at Rutgers we've talked about before. We talked about during COVID, actually. Richard Ebright said, I concur. Dr. Gennady Galinsky, a retired professor of medicine at Stanford, wrote, this madness must be stopped before it's too late. You can't stop the Chinese communists, particularly when they've got American financing. No ties to the Wuhan Institute for Virology. This is coming from the central office in Beijing. Just thought I'd let you know so you can assume the position. Assume crash position at this point. This is incredible. All right, one other matter I'd like to get to on the COVID. You know how there was this question about big pharma companies, health insurers, bribing is such an ugly word, incentivizing doctors and hospital presidents and so forth to push the vax on everybody and anybody, regardless of what their actual views were about its effectiveness and perhaps the textured views about its relevance to the young as compared to the old and so forth. Well, we've got some new information about this, thanks to the work of some Republicans in Congress, like Tom Massey from Kentucky, as well as this COVID special COVID committee that's been set up by a House Republican caucus to look at what happened, to do the postmortem that otherwise wouldn't get done. Listen to this from Massey posted this. This is a screenshot of the one-page Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield COVID-19 Vaccine Provider Incentive Program. Here's how you can qualify for a bonus. If your practice meets the below thresholds for vaccination with at least one dose by September 1st of 2021, you'll receive the initial incentive payment based on the following rates. 30% of Anthem members vaccinated, $20 bonus per vaccinated member. If you get to 40% of Anthem members vaccinated, $45 bonus per vaccinated person member. 50%, $70. 60%, $100 a person. 75%, $125 a person.
No wonder
And then-
there's still COVID or there's vaccine mandates still going on. I mean, that's real money, but what's wrong with the government when they have to pay you to take a shot?
Well, this is a health insurance company.
I mean, it's health insurance. Well, still.
They're quasi-government. Yeah. And then there was another between September 1st of 2021 and the end of 2021. Again, if you get 30% of your Anthem members vaccinated, $100 per person, 40%, $150, 50%, $170. So and there's no distinctions here. It wasn't using your judgment. It wasn't case-by-case basis. It was just get the numbers. Just stick the jabs in people's arms. Tell them they have to have it. And if you don't, well, no bonus for you.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also contact us on our text line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
Here is a practitioner who testified before that subcommittee. I'm talking about in the House, that House subcommittee on coronavirus. This is a pediatrician who, pediatric cardiologist actually, talked about what the environment was like. This is Dr. Kirk Milhone, and he addressed what exactly Tom Massey provided evidence of that was being done by Anthem, and you would expect other health insurers as well. Here's what Dr. Kirk Milhone, pediatric cardiologist, had to say.
And I think it's so multifaceted, but I wanted to take it from the physicians, sort of this new corporatization of America. And there's a carrot and a stick. The carrot is if you get enough of your panel vaccinated, you get a bonus. If you don't get the bonus. That's all throughout. When that came out, I'd never heard about that as a pediatrician before. I told people that doesn't occur. There's no way that happens. Pediatricians don't do this. Then I heard that if they had enough, they got a $40,000 bonus. What? And then if you speak out and you don't do it, and you don't know because of the electronic medical record, they know everything that's going on, and you have the green light or the red light and all these kinds of things. Everyone knows that the practice governors know what's going on. And so if there are incentives that are even beyond the doctor to doctor, but into corporate medicine, that's a pretty big carrot. But there's also a stick. Is that if you speak out about this, you venture to say, whenever in medicine was I told what I could say what should be exempted? You can only exempt this vaccine for this. No, I've exempted so many kids for vaccine. Oh, you had a bad reaction to that? Okay, I'm never going to give that to you. This is basic. Never in our history were doctors limited on what we could exempt if we said, this is bad for our patient. You can't say that, and if you say it, you're gone. So that's that. The other part is what you were speaking to, Congressman Davidson, is the issue of when the doctors wake up and they realize the data were there and they caused harm to their patient. There's concern, am I liable now because I ignored the data? And if now I insisted and I told them, and maybe I didn't give them informed consent, maybe I didn't tell them of the specific numbers of myocarditis we know occur. Maybe I forced a person who was completely healthy who had no risk to get something that had a true known risk. Maybe some of this is just like, I can't say this vaccine is wrong now because now I have to own all the ones when I said it was right, when the data were there and I ignored it.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. So many examples of this. I cannot acknowledge what occurred because I can't bring myself to admit what I've done or what I was part of doing.
So much contrition on his part.
That's what he's talking about. And so now, one act of treachery, one moment of weakness in the face of pressure from corporate overlords and the money on the line forces more skullduggerous conduct, doesn't it? And so I'm thinking about, as you're listening to that pediatric cardiologist talk about how things were so different with the vaccination than they were in any other time in the practice of medicine. I think, well, now, why don't we have any sort of poring over the VAERS data about vaccine injuries? Why don't we ever seem to be able to get to the bottom of these curious hashtag died suddenly events?
From healthy young people that are athletes that were, and most athletes were forced to take the vaccine in order to play, sometimes at home games and also at away games too. They were pressured more than any group.
So it happens, but the point is, the point is you don't know. So, in a specific case, these are all obviously individually specific. So you don't know. You see what appears to be a heightened incidence of this. You say, well, maybe it's just there's more attention being paid. There's more reporting on events like this. And there's no interest in determining what is true and not true. Because what if it could be determined that people were being paid, were incentivized by health insurance companies, by pharma companies, to give the vaccination. They wouldn't have otherwise done it. It wasn't necessary. They understood, as you heard from that Dr. Milhon, they understood it wasn't in my patient's best interest, but we have to meet the goals to make to get those incentive payments, and if I protest, I'm gone.
Yeah, they were heavily censored during the pandemic because they didn't toe the company line. And I'm just so grateful. My mom's doctor said, no, we're done. You're not taking, no more boosters. You're not. Because the last one she got, she was violently ill. And they're like, you know what, you have a heart condition too, and we're looking at these VAERS report, and no. So if you have a good doctor that is informed, stay with that doctor. Because now we're on our 8th shot, guys.
Think more globally about what this has done to the medical profession, to the trust relationship you have with doctors, with health insurance providers, and so forth. Think what this has done, and think what else could be done if more of the unanswered questions start getting answered definitively. Jane in Rockford.
Hi, Dan and Amy. Thank you so much. You've said everything that I've said for the last 4 years, and it just disgusts me. I work for a health system that, put the mandates in place, obviously. And if you didn't want to get the vaccine, they'd accepted no religious exemption. And then they made those of us who refused the vaccine, if we wanted to keep our jobs, we had to pay into a pool, a risk pool, because we were not vaccinated to keep our jobs. It started out, what we threw a fit. It was going to be based on what your income was. So the highest level that you were going to have to pay, depending on what you made, $260 a month to keep your job to not be vaccinated. They scaled it back and made it be $60 a month, but still. So for 8 months roughly, we had to pay this fine every month to maintain our, exemption, whatever you want to call it. And I have said this from the beginning, that somebody is making money. There's no reason why they are forcing people to take this vaccine. We've never done this before. And it's just, I hope to God, it has totally eroded my faith. And I work in healthcare, and I don't trust any doctor anymore. It's disgusting.
Thanks for the call, Jane. Appreciate that perspective. I mean, it's what Dr. Milhon, that pediatric cardiologist, said. There was the carrot and there was the stick. That was part of the stick, too. That's incentive. It's the other side of the coin. We'll pay you to do this, and we'll punish you if you don't. Gabby Schomburg.
Hi, good morning, guys. I just wanted to say it doesn't stop at the vaccine for COVID. It goes on to many other chronic illnesses that they push these prescriptions on us, and they get financial incentives. And I have a chronic condition, and I refuse to take the medicines. Once I did my own research, I'm glad I never got vaccinated. I never intend to get vaccinated or boosted. Lost some friendships over it. People thought we were crazy. But that being said, you have to be your own healthcare advocate. Do your research and don't discount things that the foods we consume that harm us, etc. Take your supplements, take your Balance of Nature, and that's it. Have a great weekend, guys.
Thanks, Gabby.
Thanks for the Balance of Nature.
Yeah, nice,
plug.
nice embedded plug there. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Dr. David Kolbaba.
With cold and flu season, now is the time to ensure you're building an effective immune system. Zinc is so critical for every function of your body, especially your immune defense. And there's no better way to check your zinc levels than our zinc tally test. First, we'll test you in our offices, and then you get to take your very own zinc tally test home with you, and once a week, watch your steady progress. Can't get to our offices for your first zinc tally test? No problem. We'll ship a kit to you. It's so fast and simple to use, with quick results in just seconds, with you not having to pay for those blood tests to check for zinc deficiencies, which most of us probably are deficient. So call our Health Quest radio hotline at 800-794-1855 to order yours today. And listen to Health Quest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, this Saturday morning at 11. Call 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855.
Is your local delivery provider unreliable? Do your same-day deliveries never get there the same day? Or has your delivery service left you out in the cold this winter? Then you need to know about the Delivery Authority. We are exceptional people that deliver flawless service. We are a logistics company based in Naperville that specializes in same-day, next-day, and final-mile deliveries. At the Delivery Authority, our account managers own the entire delivery process, from the pickup to final delivery, with real-time tracking that helps assure that your freight gets there safely, in good condition, and on time. And although we are a local company, our delivery footprint extends throughout the Midwest. So if you need a trusted local partner who can provide customized delivery solutions, on-time delivery performance, and hands-on customer service, then you need to call the Delivery Authority. Call us now at 630-893-7100. That's 630-893-7100. Or visit us online at thedeliveryauthority.com. That's thedeliveryauthority.com.
All right, it's going to be raining again today and tomorrow. Oof, light rain, fog. How's your basement going to do? How's your sump pump? You better check it because the snow's melting as well, and that could be a problem if your sump pump goes out or your backup sump pump, and that's where Permaseal comes in. They've been in business for 45 years. They've helped 500,000 people, and the owner, Roy Spencer, started Permaseal from the basement of his house, of course, and he also worked out of his F-150 pickup truck. So Permaseal, as a way of saying thanks, is offering you something special for the month of January. 10% off all services or up to 24 months interest-free financing, waterproofing, crawl space encapsulation, structural repairs, and their new attic insulation service. Find it all when you go to their website, permaseal.net, or simply call them to schedule a free consultation. The number to call is 800-421-7325, 800-421-SEAL.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Honey, I am like a different woman. I mean, finally one day I kept seeing that commercial and I said, what the heck, what do I got to lose? I started feeling a little bit better. So I got my sister on them. I got my daughter on them. I can't say enough about them. I really can't. Those commercials that you all do is the truth.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by calling 1-800-246-8751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, we'll talk POTUS politics with PowerlineBlog.com's John Hindraker.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Nikki Whaley in for Mike Scott.
Good morning. It's 39 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is backing Texas in its fight against the federal government over border security. The independent presidential candidate made a statement about the issue on X Thursday, saying President Biden's failure to secure the border leaves states no choice but to take matters into their own hands. Northwest Suburban school officials say that a pedestrian struck and killed by a Metra train Thursday morning was a student at Barrington High School. The incident happened on the Union Pacific Northwest line near the corner of Route 59 and Main Street. Barrington School District 220 Superintendent Craig Wilkerman wrote a letter to families stating that the teen was walking to school when he was accidentally hit by a train. He added that counselors will be available to students who need support. News is a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and The Sean Thompson Show. Hear both shows with limited commercials when you subscribe for free to the daily podcast at 560theanswer.com/podcast. Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, here's Jill Urchak.
2020.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Here's the latest forecast from...
We're still here, and we're bigger and better than ever. You can still listen to us over this great radio station, but now there are no limitations. Your smartphone is now your smart radio. Listen to us online on the app, TuneIn.com, iHeartRadio, and Odyssey.com. Your smart speaker can find us too. With radio, there is no separation anxiety. We're always on. AM 560, The Answer.
When life ends, your legacy begins. Ensure your legacy lives on at Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, with 47 locations throughout Cook and Lake counties. Take advantage of 0% financing. Lock in today's prices and safeguard yourself against rising inflation. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
Rick Borick, host of Unleash Your Wealth, talks about the importance of tax planning in retirement.
A qualified financial planner can take you through all the steps to show you every single legal way you can use to reduce and minimize your state income taxes across the board so that, again, you keep more of your money and your family keeps more of your money.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and our new time at 2 p.m. here on AM 560, The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I've just been doing great, and I just feel like it's a definite advantage to take them. Well, let me just say one other thing. I mentioned to my doctor that I was taking Balance of Nature, and they said they were very positive about that. And they said that was really good. That's a good product, and so I've been very pleased.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by calling 1-800-246-8751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak. Taking a look at the roads, it's quiet on the inbound Edens, no reason to worry. Kennedy inbound at 28 minutes in from the airport to downtown. We're seeing delays outbound on the Kennedy as well at about 30 minutes. Inbound Eisenhower 40 minutes, 390 into the post office. Stevenson inbound heavy at 50 from the Veterans Memorial Tollway into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Now, if you're heading southbound on I-55 at Bluff Road, beware of an accident. We have delays into that. Inbound side of the Dan Ryan, that's a heavy one, 50 minutes from 95th Street on in. A couple of tie-ups inbound 5799 to the Ryan, inbound Ford slowing Stony Island into the Dan Ryan. To Saba Lakeshore Drive, north is clear. A couple of delays, though, right near Bryn Mawr, not too bad. And the Tri-State, but the other tollways are fine. Traffic is a service of Salem Surround, providing your business with industry-leading digital marketing strategy designed to surround your target audience and drive action. Go to surroundchicago.com today. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Areas of fog around today. Rain and drizzle, high 40. Clouds and fog, a shower this evening. Drizzle late, low 34. Dense fog tomorrow, cloudy and damp. The high tomorrow at 39. Clouds Sunday, the high again 39. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
And Amy, big news yesterday, which we discussed a bit earlier in the program, is the rallying around Texas Governor Greg Abbott by Republican governors from across the country. Now, 24 standing with Greg Abbott, saying he has every right to provide protection for his residents. We would do the same. And it is an abdication of President Biden's shall protect constitutional responsibility, Article 4, Section 4, that has precipitated this moment. And Kristi Noem, the governor of South Dakota, she's willing to drive down and pitch in.
Governor Abbott has done the exact right thing, and I'll drive him more razor wire from South Dakota if I have to for him to do his job. What people forget is that governors are commanders in chief. We're responsible for the men and women of our National Guard. It's a heavy responsibility that weighs on our shoulders. And so we never engage our National Guard soldiers and those men and women unless it's incredibly important and if we feel that we have the constitutional authority to do that in this situation. Over 2 years ago, I declared it a war zone at the southern border, just how it was impacting South Dakota. My Guard has been down there on multiple deployments supporting the Texas National Guard. Our Border Patrol agents do not support what President Biden is doing. Our ICE people on the ground do not support what President Biden is doing. Democrats in this country do not support what President Biden is doing at the southern border. And they disagree with him fundamentally. He's so out of touch. He is remaking this country. We will be Europe within a year or two if we allow President Biden to continue this invasion of our country. Over 6 million people have come here illegally. It is time to stand our ground, and we'll be down there standing shoulder to shoulder with Governor Abbott.
Ooh. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt said the same. We'll be in contact with Governor Abbott to provide whatever he needs, including personnel. The other news related, 10 former FBI executives, some who oversaw the Bureau's intelligence, counterterrorism, criminal, and training operations, sent a letter dated January 17th to House Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader Palliachi Schumer, as well as the chairman of Intel and Homeland Security Committees in the House and the Senate, that, and this is part of what it read, what the letter contained, quote, in its modern history, the U.S. has never suffered an invasion of the homeland, and yet one is unfolding now. Military-age men from across the globe, many from countries or regions not friendly to the United States, are landing in waves on our soil by the thousands, not by splashing ashore from a ship or parachuting from a plane, but rather by foot across a border that has been accurately advertised around the world as largely unprotected with ready access granted. It would be difficult to overstate the danger represented by the presence inside our borders of what is comparatively a multi-division army of young single adult males from hostile nations and regions whose background, intent, or allegiance is completely unknown. So all those leftists with a newfound love of the FBI when they're targeting Trump, what say you to these experts in law enforcement and national security? For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by John Hinderaker, who is the president of the Center of the American Experiment, contributor to Powerline, powerlineblog.com. John, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Great to be with you, Dan.
Boy, the rallying around Governor Abbott that's happening, sort of by inference with that letter from those former FBI executives, brass, and then literally explicitly by his fellow governors from across the nation. We're getting to a real moment here as that case that he is pursuing was returned to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals for a full hearing.
We could be heading here for a constitutional crisis, Dan. Greg Abbott has taken a very strong stand. He lost that case 5-4 in the U.S. Supreme Court. They didn't write no opinion, but they overturned the appellate court order that barred the feds from doing away with the wire that Greg Abbott in Texas had put up at the border. So at least as best you can interpret it, the Supreme Court seemed to be going with the view that immigration is a federal prerogative, and the states.
I don't think so. I mean, I think that's too aggressive a read, because all they did was lift an injunction, and and even Abbott says, the record of the case, we don't know, and Abbott's a lawyer, we don't know that the record of the case is pretty thin. They returned to the Fifth Circuit, and he articulated his Article 4, Section 4, Article 1, Section 10 argument, which I think is a pretty compelling one. I'm not so sure when the case gets a full airing at the Fifth Circuit and ultimately makes its way to the Supreme Court that Amy Coney Barrett is going to be where she was on lifting the injunction.
Well, Dan, I hope you're right. But the reality is that Texas is not backing down. Greg Abbott put out that statement. He included citations to a couple of constitutional provisions. I think he makes a strong case, but what's really striking, and frankly, in my mind, what's stirring, is the way these Republican governors have lined up behind the state of Texas, one after another. Yeah. It was all over Twitter yesterday, and the Republican Governors Association has now unanimously endorsed Texas's stand here. So, the chips are being pushed into the middle of the table, and we could see a really important ruling at some point here out of the Supreme Court. And I hope you're right. I hope at the end of the day they say that when the federal government has abdicated its constitutional responsibilities, and we have President Joe Biden. I mean, Joe Biden is a scofflaw, right? The central duty of the president under Article 2 of the Constitution is to take care that the laws be faithfully executed. That is what it means to be the chief executive. Joe Biden has not faithfully executed the immigration laws. On the contrary, he's done everything he can to subvert them and to negate them. Now, that's, in my opinion, that's an impeachable offense. Yeah, but in the meantime, when you've got a president that just abdicates his duties under Article 2 and also, as you point out, under Article 4, that just cannot leave the states helpless. And so I think we're moving here toward a pivotal moment.
Well, do you think that Biden's going to want that look? I mean, federalizing a state's National Guard. He ignored the issue for 3 years, and then they come down and they take over the Texas Rangers and the Texas National Guard.
They'll have to take over more than that. South Dakota and other states, they're sending their they're going to nationalize all the National Guards. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. The other thing is, the Democrats want to make the 2024 election all about abortion again, right? It worked in 2022. They have nothing else to run on. Why not give it a try? I think the Republicans need to make the 2024 election all about the border. I think they need to run with one voice on the worst malfeasance. And it's a tough competition, but the worst malfeasance of the Biden administration is the open southern border. And I think the Democrats are very nervous about this. And for the first time, was it day before yesterday, Joe Biden finally said, yeah, we got a crisis at the southern border, after years of saying, oh, no, it's under control, everything is fine. So, we'll see.
Well, they know they have a problem because both Iowa and New Hampshire residents, for more than 40%, it was the number one issue, immigration, and they're not even close to the border. So correct. I think that's when they realize, oh, my God, we have a problem here. But Biden could say all he wants, but he's not doing anything about it. So.
No, and there's powerful constituencies within his party who don't want him to do anything about it. I mean, it's not, the problem isn't that he's just too feeble and too incompetent to enforce the immigration laws. The reality is he doesn't want to.
I want to get your take on the Republican race for president. Is there a race? Kim Strassel, I mean, this is really interesting because I normally really like Kim and her musings in the Wall Street Journal. But, boy, those who have antipathy for Trump or don't want Trump to become the nominee, they really get themselves all twisted up trying to come up for plausible scenarios in which he is not going to be the nominee. Listen to what she writes and get your reaction, John. The notion this contest is over is absurd. Only 434,000 voters in 2 states have so far recorded a preference for a Republican nominee. That's about 1.4% of the 31 million who took part in the 2016 GOP presidential primaries. In the race to secure the 1,215 delegates for the nomination, Trump leads Haley 32-17. That Haley number is almost exactly what Trump had after the first 2 races in 2016, the year he won. So all Kim Strauss argues is all Haley needs is a rationale for her candidacy, and this is still very winnable. Do you agree with that?
Well, in principle, she's right, of course. I mean, hardly any delegates have been chosen. But the real takeaway, I think, from Iowa and New Hampshire is that the polls were right. You know, primary polling is volatile, unpredictable, and a front runner can drop out very rapidly. We've seen that happen many times. The problem is it didn't happen here. And it didn't happen in Iowa. It didn't happen in New Hampshire. And it's pretty obvious looking at the polls, and it's pretty obvious everybody understands who Donald Trump is. You know, he's not some guy that just kind of came along in the primary process and a bunch of people said, oh, I sort of like that guy. You know, he gave a good speech. He's a known commodity, and I think the chance that – and Nikki Haley's got problems too. You know, much of the Republican Party views her as a corporatist, a globalist, you know, and I don't think she's that appealing a candidate in the first place for many Republicans. But I agree with you, Dan. I think it's all over about the shouting.
Yeah, I mean, it's I mean, again, I really like Kim Strassel, and she's sharp. She's a good writer. But I mean, the idea of like not looking at what the full landscape is telling you, right? On to South Carolina, says Nikki Haley in New Hampshire, where I'm down 40 points.
Right, she's going to get clobbered in South Carolina. I know it. I know.
She's not even going to participate in Nevada's caucus.
And
the only caveat there, Dad, is that we do have quite a long time to go as politics goes. And, you know, Trump could have a health crisis. He could get run over by a bus.
Wow.
He's got all these legal proceedings.
Yeah, but if he does, people that suspended their campaigns can get right back in it.
Well, but the other thing, too, is just, I mean, the arguments that are being made on behalf of someone other than Trump, like all DeSantis, I mean, it's sort of what they were saying about DeSantis to some extent, although he has a much more robust record. But, like, for Kim Strassel to argue at this point, all Nikki Haley has to do is come up with a rationale for her candidacy. I mean, it was a little late in the game for that. Yeah, right.
A little late. Well, you know, look, I mean, the party, you can divide the party into pro-Trump and anti-Trump. Those lines have been drawn a long time ago, right? And it's obvious that the large majority of the Republican Party is pro-Trump. And so, you know, I was just starting to say that there's a whole bunch of events that may take place over the next few months in the various legal proceedings surrounding Donald Trump, including a Supreme Court ruling, of course, on whether he's barred by the 14th Amendment from being on the ballot. Yeah. And you know, some of those, I don't think there's going to be, looking at the timeline, any really major events between now and the conventions. But in any event, most Republicans take these prosecutions by the Democrats as a badge of honor. And so there too, you know, there may be some developments, but I don't think they're going to be very significant.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is almost the case in the general election, assuming it's the rematch that we anticipate, Trump and Biden. But particularly in the primary, it's like it's sort of like Bill Belichick having to have a second interview with the Falcons. What exactly do you need to know about Bill Belichick in a second interview, right? What exactly is new about Donald Trump's position on this or that, or even Nikki Haley at this point in the whole, as you said, the whole pro-Trump, anti-Trump schism? I mean, you know, this has all sort of already been baked in, hasn't it?
Well, I think it has. It isn't even Trump's position so much as it is. In fact, it's really not his positions at all. It's his personality, his tangled history, his character.
Yeah, right.
Everybody knows about those things, and the general election public may care. I'm not saying that they're not issues against Joe Biden. They are, but the Republicans all know about them, and they're voting for Trump anyway.
I want to run this pet idea I've been pitching all week by you. See what you think. You can't, going back to the border issue, and particularly Abbott and the busing and the training and the flying of people, to make every state a border state, as we all know. So you're not going to move the Pritzkers and Brandon Johnsons, the Hokels and the Eric Adams. You're not going to move them on this. They're not changing their position on sanctuary city and state designations. They're just playing the money game. The cities say, I need more money from the state. The states say, we need more money from the feds. The feds say, we got to print more money to send to the states and the cities. I mean, that's all they care about. I mean, we have, Democrats are calling this a housing crisis, not a border security crisis. So who can you move, and who can you make sure you get in line? And it's Republicans, like those that are trying to negotiate a surrender in the Senate, McConnell and Lankford, and also send a message to the country, say, look, we are going to, visit upon anyone, Republican or Democrat, the consequences of promoting lawlessness at the border, promoting open borders. So why not ask Greg Abbott to send a few buses to Lexington, to Mitch McConnell's office, to Tulsa, to Jim Lankford's office, and I mean, create that. I mean, those guys are anti-Trump, especially McConnell, anti-Trump anyway. They're going to seek to undermine him. Why not take the mantle here, since he's effectively been given the nod as the nominee, as we were discussing, and demonstrate some post-partisan principled leadership?
Well, I'm fine with that. First of all, I mean, the more places they said buses to, the better. Republicans have got a real talent for snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Exactly.
And the last thing they should be doing is taking the Democrats off the hook on this issue with some kind of a legislative compromise. We all know how legislative compromises on immigration have turned out. The only thing to do, the vast majority of the American people are with us on this issue, and they have been. They have been all along. But the issue has now risen to number one in the priorities of the American people, not just Republicans, but independents and even a lot of Democrats. And you're right. The Democratic governors are not going to, Pritzker at all. They're not going to change their minds and get rational. We just have to thrash them at the polls. And in November of 2024, if the Republicans make that election about illegal immigration, it is going to be a huge year for the Republicans. And among other things, we're going to see Donald Trump back in the White House.
John Hinderaker is the president of the Center of the American Experiment, contributor to Powerline, powerlineblog.com. John, thank you as always.
Great to be with you, Dan.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Imagine what your future looks like. Is the picture a little blurry? Hey, it's Sean Thompson here for Alpha Wealth Group. When we look ahead, we're visualizing where we want to be, and for retirement, that can be hard without a written financial plan. Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group can help you bring your retirement picture into focus. For decades, Tom has been crafting customized financial strategies. His goal is to help you protect your savings, grow your wealth, and create an income strategy you cannot outlive. If you're nearing or already in retirement, it's time to get your plan on paper. So bring your readers and let's take a look at it closely. Call Tom at 630-934-1855 and schedule a complimentary retirement consultation. There is no cost. There is no obligation. This is a chance to get a clearer view of your retirement. The number again is 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings right here on AM 560 The Answer.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to do it in a few minutes. Let's start taking my balance of nature. I have it here in the studio. I love it. Real fruit, real vegetables, real nutrition, real science. Yes, what they do is they take in the fruits and veggies, turn them into a powdered substance after placing them through an advanced vacuum cold process, which stabilizes the maximum nutrient content. If you're not getting enough fruits and veggies on your own, because you have to admit that you're really not. If you keep going through the drive-thru, not getting your fruits and veggies, but that's where Balance of Nature could come in. So just try it. Give it a shot. You should feel good that you're doing something for yourself, especially during these crazy times. The number to call is 800-246-8751, 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago or online at balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Calling all firearm owners, enthusiasts, and Second Amendment patriots. Both experienced and novice customers are cordially invited to visit MOA Industries in Bensenville. MOA Industries is a Class 7 firearms dealer providing a myriad of services, including firearm sales, gunsmithing, certified Cerakote application, laser engraving, firearms instruction on a private range, firearms transfers for only $40, and discounts for veterans and first responders. With a large selection of firearms, customization services, and CCL license classes and renewals, MOA Industries strives to be your one-stop shop for all your firearms needs. Visit MOAindustries.com today. Your Second Amendment needs are the first priority. No high-pressure salesmen, just friendly, relaxed professionals dedicated to providing the best service possible. MOA Industries is located in nearby Bensenville. Ready to pull the trigger? Call 630-766-7593. That's 630-766-7593. Or visit online at MOAindustries.com. That's MOAindustries.com. MOAindustries.com.
It's a new year, and that means New Year's resolutions. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and if one of your New Year's resolutions was to do more to help others, then we want to let you know that you still have the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of children in Latin America and the Caribbean through Food for the Poor. Your donation of just $80 provides food for an entire year for 2 children. That's life-changing. Just because the Christmas season is over, that doesn't mean that the need has gone away. Food for the Poor is a faith-based organization that works with partners on the ground to make sure these children are fed. You know, we talk a lot about the root causes of our immigration crisis, and one of those causes is the situation in many of these countries. This is your chance to help take care of others. To make a donation of any amount, just visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor. That's 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor. Thanks again for your generosity.
Cable news. Noisy, out of touch, on repeat. Tired of all the lookalikes? So are we. Salem News Channel is here to change the game. Streaming 24/7, free on your TV, with the greatest collection of conservative voices. Home to Dinesh D'Souza, Andrew Wilkow, Brandon Tatum, and more. Like you, we say what's wrong and what's right. Unfiltered and unapologetic. Salem News Channel. We're the answer to the mainstream media. Learn more at snc.tv.
When life ends, your legacy begins. Ensure your legacy lives on at Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, with 47 locations throughout Cook and Lake counties. Take advantage of 0% financing. Lock in today's prices and safeguard yourself against rising inflation. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. By the way, you know, the other thing, too, is just on Trump in terms of encouraging Abbott to send migrants to McConnell's and Langford's home bases.
Yeah, do it.
Learn your lesson, right? Learn your lesson from being obstructed by Paul Ryan when you got in, when it came to border wall funding. They essentially thwarted him from really fully fulfilling the commitments he made on border security in the campaign in 2016. So learn your lesson. Let's get out front of it now.
All right. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I was a Border Patrol agent for 27 years. Here's how we fixed the border, says Chris Clem. We're going to talk to him. get his thoughts at 8:08.
And then later it's Open Mic Friday, so don't forget about that. It starts early. It starts right on time at 8:30. Today we're going to have a high of 40 degrees. No sunshine, still light rain and fog. And over the weekend, cloudy with highs near 40 degrees. It is now 8 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Texas has no plans to comply. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. With a Biden administration deadline today to allow U.S. border agents access to a park in Eagle Pass to cut razor wire the state put up to block migrants.
We have the right to defend our country against invasion, and what else would you call it if you've got 6 million people coming through illegally?
Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt and 24 other Republican governors support Texas, and he just told Fox he might send his National Guard to help the state. But Fox's Jackie Heinrich reports from the White House some Democrats want President Biden to federalize National Guard troops in Texas.
As they also pressed congressional Republicans to take up this border bill that was being negotiated in the Senate and looked pretty likely to pass until Senate GOP leadership acknowledged that former President Trump will likely be the Republican nominee, and he does not want this bill.
Now, this hour, the former president is expected to attend closing arguments at a civil defamation trial in New York. The UN's High Court is urging Israel to do more to limit Palestinian deaths and damage in its war against Hamas, stopping short of what South Africa wanted, an order for Israel to stop the war in Gaza.
In the court's view, at least some of the acts and omissions alleged by South Africa to have been committed by Israel in Gaza appear to be capable of falling within the provisions of the convention.
Joan Donahue is the president of the Court of International Justice. Israel's prime minister is calling the genocide allegations outrageous. An American journalist jailed in Russia has been ordered to stay behind bars through at least March. It was March of last year when Evan Gershkovich was arrested, accused of being a spy. He denies that. The U.S. calls Gershkovich wrongfully detained. A convicted murderer died in a new way last night. Kenneth Smith suffocated by nitrogen gas, a first-of-its-kind execution.
He struggled against his restraints a little bit, but there's some involuntary movement and some agonal breathing, so that was all expected.
Alabama Corrections Commissioner John Hamm. Witnesses say Smith convulsed for several minutes, appearing to gasp for air. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 39 degrees in Chicago. In the AM 560 The Answer newsroom, I'm Nikki Whaley. The Treasury Secretary is defending the Biden administration's economic agenda.
The stronger middle class and a thriving economy everywhere in the United States is key to building a more robust and resilient economy overall.
While speaking at the Economic Club of Chicago, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen drew contrast with the policies of the Trump administration as President Biden is gearing up for a likely general election rematch with the former president. Yellen says the economy has continued to grow instead of contracting, as some had predicted a recession in the U.S. was inevitable. Her comments come after data was released showing the economy grew at a healthy clip over the past year, surpassing 3%. Yellen conceded, however, the price of some goods remains too high and that the administration is working to bring prices down. Police are investigating 5 smash-and-grab robberies on Chicago's North Side. In each instance, the front windows of the stores were broken and merchandise was stolen from 2 liquor stores, a cosmetic store, a clothing store, and an unidentified business. The last robbery happened early Thursday morning in the 1500 block of North Wells Street. At this time, no one is in custody. News is a service of the AM 560 store. Order t-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands, including Prof University and The Sean Thompson Show when you go to 560theanswer.com/store. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes, but now time for the AM 560 Business Beat.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
American Express is reporting a weaker than expected quarter. Both earnings and revenue missed forecast. The credit card company's been putting aside more money to cover in the event people are delinquent on their credit cards. However, the stock is higher because Amex is raising expectations for this year and it's raising the dividend it pays shareholders. Colgate-Palmolive shares are higher after it reported an upbeat quarter. Tesla shares are slightly higher today after a rough stretch for the electric vehicle company's stock. Tesla shares are down more than 25% in the past 4 weeks, taking the stock down to its lowest level since May. Its earnings and revenue were disappointing. The stock declined more than 12% on Thursday, its worst one-day drop in more than a year. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
This radio station is always on, but sometimes you need more content that you can take with you anywhere. That's why we invented the SalemPodcastNetwork.com. You'll find all the great hosts on this radio station, plus a few more, like Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, Jenna Ellis, and Dennis and Julie. There's literally no end to what we can teach you. It's like radio on demand, and just like radio, it's always on. Go find out what you're missing. Download the app, SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm always on the road driving, and I take care of people's dogs. I do feel a difference. And I'm always telling everybody about take Balance of Nature, take Balance of Nature. And the fiber and spice is really great. You know, sometimes when you're on the road all the time and you don't eat right and stuff, I take that, and it's wonderful. It's very good.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by calling 1-800-246-8751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text ROCK to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text ROCK to 42424. That's ROCK to 42424.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak taking a look at the roads. DuSable Lakeshore Drive southbound. Beware of an accident at Hyde Park. We have delays into that. Actually, both directions have tie-ups. On the Edens inbound, 17 minutes, Lake Cook Road to Montrose. Kennedy, a 30-minute trip in from O'Hare to downtown. And going in on the Eisenhower, 50, 390 into the post office. Stevenson, 48 minutes from the Veterans Memorial Tollway into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. I-55 southbound slowing at US 6, and that is due to an accident blocking the right lane. Express lanes inbound on the Rhine tightening up from the Skyway to the Stevenson. It is jammed on the inbound side of the Ryan at 1 hour and 15 minutes, 95th on in from that accident. Traffic is the service of AM 560 Advantage. Membership has its privileges, including early access to event tickets, exclusive contest opportunities, and special members-only content. Join today at 560theanswer.com/join. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Areas of fog this morning, rain and drizzle, high today 40, clouds and fog, a shower this evening, drizzle late, low 34. Dense fog tomorrow morning, cloudy and damp, the high Saturday at 39. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, tall and wide. Tall and wide. That's what the
Pritzker story.
What are you so tall?
Oh, not tall.
Yeah, that's just wide.
Okay.
Tall and wide.
Excuse me.
Is
the name of your new band?
No, but it is a sort of a handle on the border wall from a bygone era. It's being resuscitated by Chris Clem, who's a retired chief patrol agent who served as a U.S. Border Patrol agent for 27 years. Tall and wide is what he says about the wall, the border barriers that should be erected. Chris Clem joins us now. Chris, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for having me on.
So tell us what tall and wide means.
Yeah, no, again, it's my way of kind of explaining how we should look at securing our nation's border. We should be a nation of tall fences and wide gates. And tall fences is exactly that in some places. That's a border barrier, a wall, a fence, whatever you want to call it, but we need it in locations throughout our southern border, mainly in urban areas where people that cross can vanish into cities, into our neighborhoods, into like in El Paso, the schools, within seconds to minutes. And so we need something to impede, deny, or contain those mass entries. And the wide gates is our lawful pathways, our ports of entry, the legal pathways for people to come to the United States who want to come to the United States. And it's an opportunity for us to control and determine who and what and why they're coming in. And I think that's just a reasonable approach. It's something that's resonated with me for the past 15 years. And then that's what I was speaking about in that op-ed, because I've seen it work. And it's successful when we implement the entire strategy. And one last thing is, when I say the wall, and it's mentioned in that op-ed, is it was a wall system. That's what Border Patrol agents had required, and a wall where it makes sense, lights where it makes sense, access roads, technology in the form of cameras, sensors. That is a wall system for us, and so we need that from the border security piece, and we need the legislators and the people in charge to make some common sense approaches to those wide gates to make sure that we bring in what we need here and to make this country continue to be great.
Well, how many gotaways do you think that there actually are? I mean, I know they say that anywhere from 6 to 9 million, which is a big difference, are here, but then we have gotaways.
Yeah. So, for your listeners and everybody, tuning in, a gotaway is somebody that we have determined that has made an illegal entry, but we were never able to resolve that. So those are documented, known gotaways. We've either seen their footprints, we detect them on camera, we saw them, we just never caught them. I know that the numbers are close to 2 million over the last 3 years, and that's again what we know. There is always that unknown factor, because there are times, especially in the last few years, where we've just had this mass amount of humanity, which is controlled by the south side of the border, the cartels, where they're going to go so they can push their groups through. So if we documented 1.7 million gotaways over the last few years, I would say that the numbers are a little bit higher, because there's those areas across the border that we didn't even get a chance to go out there to look because it's been so busy. To throw a number out there I wouldn't know, I would just tell you that it's going to be higher than the 1.7 that we've documented over the last few years.
The topography along our 1,800 miles of border, you wrote in your piece about that too, just sort of reminding people that you've got lots of different types of landscape, suburban, urban, rural, mountainous, and so that requires a correspondingly layered approach to the technology that's used, to the deployment of personnel. Speak to that a bit, if you would.
That's great. So the Border Patrol, the agents, the chiefs, we've determined that there are 3 known operating environments. Urban environments where, as I mentioned, people can vanish within seconds to minutes. rural environments where it takes minutes to hours for somebody to get to a vanishing point, which could be a highway, a neighborhood or something. And then you have the remote areas where it literally can take hours to days. I've worked in areas of New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, where, people will cross and they'll walk 3 or 4 days or more to get to a highway. So in those situations, I don't need a wall in the middle of nowhere where somebody is going to take them 5 or 6 days to get to an interstate. I need technology and I need agents out there. Technology could be cameras. It could be drones. It could be sensor equipment, but it doesn't need to be a 30-foot tall fence. Big Bend in Texas is a great example. There are literally cliffs that are 200 or 300 feet high that no one's ever climbed. We don't need a wall there on top of that. But in an urban area like El Paso, where they can disappear within seconds, we need to have a fencing there. And in some areas, let's let the and always let me go back and say this: always let the local border patrol, let their leadership and the agents on the ground, let them dictate those requirements in concert with the community and the areas there. Because look, you don't want to disrupt certain activities that are going on in the ranching community. Because hey, there's areas where we have to put the fence a half mile or further off the border, and that gets into people's property. So a little coordination there, but let the Border Patrol agents make those decisions. We don't need bureaucrats and legislators in Washington, D.C. determining what we need to secure the border. They just need to support us where it makes sense.
Well, what do you make of Governor Abbott? He's asking ranchers and farmers to grab some razor wire and help put it up, the barrier.
Well, you know what? It's a shame that we've gotten to that point. I'll preface my comments that way. But look, I did this for 27 and a half years. I started off as a young agent, went all the way through the ranks, a career employee up into the senior executive service. And I've never seen just a complete, ignoring of the problem like we've had the last few years. And so states have had to step up, and Texas is not going to relent. I can tell you that the relationship on the ground is great with the state of Texas and the Border Patrol. It becomes more of a political battle between the governor and the White House, and that's what gets spun around. But I can assure you that the troopers, the deputies, the National Guardmen, the Border Patrol agents on the ground, and they're all working together to try to do their job, even with all the distractions. Texas has is mainly private land out there and state land, so. Governor's got to do what the governor's got to do. The Supreme Court made a decision that the Border Patrol agents can do what they need, which I think is a good ruling because it still gives authorities to the executive branch, which is constitutionally right. It's just a problem that's unfortunate that the U.S. government and this administration is not supporting what the states need. And they can disagree, but you know what? There's a lot of things going on down there that the federal government could fix tomorrow if they would. And the governor's got a good relationship with his people, so I got to trust that local judgment, not from where I live.
Did you find the Biden offer of $6 billion for border security, hiring more agents, and so on and so forth? Did you find that disingenuous at all, or do you think that would be particularly helpful?
No, I can tell you the problem is the truths details, right? So I think the proposal was like $14 billion for border security, at least one of the initial proposals coming out of the White House. But it was all about processing efficiencies. It was about technology for processing. The vice president recently said the solution is to be able to process these people more efficiently. There was nothing about securing the border and stopping this from this group of these people coming in illegally. See, that's the problem is he's throwing money out there to give more agents. Okay, 1,300 agents. Well, we asked for 3,000 to 5,000 agents in the year before last. We got 300. That didn't keep up with attrition. So another 1,300 is still below the mark that we need. And again, everything that if you read the details, they'll say that they won't pass this bill. The president's putting all this money up. It is not about securing the border in the conventional way, like the agency, like fill the gaps where the wall stopped, put the technology up. It is about processing. Let me just put it this way. It's about giving more buckets to bail out the water and not fixing the leak. That's what this is what that bill is. And I've read that and I've seen that. It's disingenuous at best.
Explain the process that the process that they keep referring to, and making the processing more efficient and so forth. But the Border Patrol agents' role and sort of what the reality is in terms of dealing with asylum seekers, and sort of as part of the justice system, if you will, the immigration judges as well, just how border agents fit in between those coming into this country and the sort of the larger infrastructure that deals with that.
Yeah, great question and great ask here. So Border Patrol's responsibility, our agent's responsibility, is to patrol and control anything and everyone that comes in between the lawful ports of entry. When you come in between the ports of entry, that is an illegal entry, and it's our job to interdict, apprehend, process you, and then turn you over to the next phase of an immigration enforcement continuum. That would be, in most cases, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. If it was a drug-related case, we would turn you over to the DEA. If it prosecute, we would work with the marshals and go through the court system. But in most cases, when they're administrative cases, in other words, we're not going to criminally prosecute you, they go through removal proceedings. Well, when Border Patrol will take you into custody, we will process you to get you in front of an immigration judge to determine if you're allowed to stay or go. The problem is you're supposed to be detained for that process, and there's been so many people that have come in this country the last few years, we can't detain people. And when people, you hear the term asylum seekers, I can tell you the 310,000 people that I caught in 2022 when I was chief in Yuma, none of them claimed asylum. What it is there's two ways to claim asylum. There's an affirmative claim where you file for an asylum, and there's a defensive claim. When you get ordered removed, you have a defense to say, I'd like to stay because I have fear of return, and that falls under an asylum claim. That gives them several bites at the apple. Well, when the system has been so overwhelmed and there's not enough judges, you have people that their initial court cases to determine their defensive claim of asylum are 3, 4, and sometimes 7 years out. So those folks get processed. There's no room to detain them. They get released into the communities, and the expectation is they're going to check in, and then they're going to show up for their initial hearing, which is, like I said, several years down the road. So the judges come into play. If we could have expeditious hearings, we can give these migrants who come in, let them know, because I believe clear is kind. If we can send a very clear message, you get to stay or you don't get to stay. But having somebody stay here for several years before they even get their hearing is unacceptable. We wouldn't do that in really any other arena in our world. Why are we doing this with these migrants? It just continues this human exploitation that these policies coming out of Washington are doing, because these people have been through so much. So many of them are already victims of trafficking and they don't even realize it. And then they're going to be here for 3, 4, 5 years before a hearing to determine if they get to stay. It's really kind of unfortunate that we've gotten to this situation, and it doesn't look like anything's going to change anytime soon based on all the things I'm seeing and reading.
Chris Clem, retired Chief Patrol Agent, served as a U.S. Border Patrol agent for 27 years, as he was describing. Chris, thanks so much. Appreciate your insights.
You got it. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, business owners, are you wondering how to grow your business? Do you need cash flow and a ready source for financing? Well, Signature Bank can help. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that Signature Bank's loan decisions are made locally by a team who knows your name, cares about your business, and is invested in your success. When you need advice about your business or even have a question, Signature Bank is there to help. There are no handoffs or call centers. This is a team that wants to get to know you and your business. That's why Signature Bank in Chicago is my bank. That's right. I'm a customer. When I call, someone picks up the phone on the other end. And with Signature Bank, I can securely bank anywhere, anytime. Reach out to my friends at Signature Bank. Call 773-467-5630. That's 773-467-5630, or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. Signaturebank.bank. Your business could be Signature Bank's next success story. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Brothers and sisters in Christ, as we navigate the challenges of our time, it's crucial to stand firm in our faith and uphold the values that have shaped our nation. The Bible teaches us the importance of faith, family, and freedom. In Proverbs 3, verse 5 and 6, we're reminded to trust in the Lord with all our hearts and to lean not on our own understanding. AMAC, like us, values faith as a guiding principle in our lives and in the decisions that shape our nation. As Christians, we cherish the freedom to worship, to live our lives in accordance with our faith. AMAC advocates for policies that safeguard our religious liberties, ensuring that future generations can continue to exercise their faith without fear. Join us in this mission to preserve the biblical values that make our nation strong. Visit amac.us/faith and let your voice be heard. That's amac.us/faith.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I've just been doing great, and I just feel like it's a definite advantage to take them. Let me just say one other thing. I mentioned to my doctor that I was taking Balance of Nature, and they said they were very positive about that. And they said that was really good. That's a good product. And so I've been very pleased.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by calling 1-800-246-8751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
Open mic! Open mic Friday! Call it now! Open mic Friday!
Yes, it's that time of the week. Open Mic Friday, taking your calls. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Comments, compliments, concerns, criticisms, general crackpottery. We'll take it all. Open Mic Friday, sponsored by turnkey.pro. And as always, we kick it off with turnkey.pro founder David Kolsak. David.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. How are you guys?
Morning.
We're great. Thanks for asking.
Well, it certainly looks like there's a party brewing in Texas, right? Not to beat a dead horse on this, but the government didn't like the disruption of illegal immigrants pouring in over the border, so they took it all the way to the Supreme Court, where they won 5-4. It's actually a ruling to allow DHS to remove the razor wire, but the point's clear. Texas is not supposed to defend its own border, and they must let DHS cut their razor wire, letting the immigrants come in. But however, Governor Abbott, as you mentioned earlier several times, he's decided to double down and have the National Guards prevent the feds from cutting into the area. The optics, though, say that Texas should not protect its own borders, and the Supreme Court sides with the illegal immigrants over the citizens of Texas. That's what I think we all see. So either the National Guard stands down and allows the feds to do their thing, or the National Guard stands their ground and ignores the Supreme Court order. We're then talking about an armed conflict between state and federal, which is interesting to think about. So along the way, other states have chimed in one after another. So I think the list is up to 25 states now siding with Texas. I'm not thinking Illinois is going to be on that list anytime soon, but Trump's also encouraging states to send their National Guard, which again is interesting. Yale University just released a study last week saying the actual number of illegal immigrants in this country is not 11 million, as we've been told for years, but it's more like 22 million or higher. The Democratic Party is now calling for a policy of legalizing all these illegals in the country, and that's essentially granting full citizenship to 22 million illegal people in the country. So in my hometown of Wheeling here, the Police and Fire Board just took a vote to allow these same people who illegally came into the country to be able to serve as policemen and firemen. So get here illegally and help us enforce our laws. That really makes sense. So, and I think there might be special bonus points for illegal aliens who are transgender and have gun wielding skills, but I'm not really sure about that. But
Hey-o.
Ask yourself, really, who benefits from the U.S. border being open? Democrats shipping in millions of new voters, human trafficking, human traffickers shipping in slaves and sex slaves so that they can sell to U.S. buyers, terrorists infiltrating the U.S., and just generally, there might be some good people in there, but there's no logical reason to advocate for open borders other than criminality. But if they grant amnesty or whatever we want to call it, there will be 22 million more voters who historically will vote Democratic. The largest margin of victory was 17 million votes when Reagan was reelected in '84. So if the Democrats get their way, there will be a perpetual state of reelection. Pardon me. And they'll have the votes every time. This whole border thing seems to be about putting the Democrats in power forever. So it's good to see the states that are lining up behind to protect Texas's borders. But anyway, it's funny that we could have secured the whole border for something like $6 billion, years ago, and we'd rather send $100 billion to Ukraine to help them defend, essentially all the honeypots for the same politicians over there. So much corruption in Ukraine, and we are all seeing it now. But it's really unnerving to watch the blatant disregard for the people. And I think this particular battle at Texas might be something to watch, or maybe it's just another distraction. Who knows? But it's hard to imagine our federal troops fighting the National Guard. Who would fight? I would think somebody would back down. The question is, who's going to say uncle first? I hope it would be Texas would prevail, but nothing would surprise me at this point. Now, Kari Lake, this is an interesting story in the news this week. Why the wait? She waited 11 months to release the audio recording of her, essentially being bribed by the Arizona Republican chair to step aside and not run for Senate. You heard about that, right?
We played those tapes twice. Yeah.
It's amazing. And if you can get Kari, past her eating potato chips or whatever, she was like, nom, nom, nom. It's kind of funny to listen to. But anyway.
It's a casual setting. It was real. She was, having lunch.
Oh, yeah, totally. That guy had to step down, as you can imagine, but I'm wondering why she waited so long. She mentioned in a speech, presumably right after that incident, like 11 months ago, but no one believed her, and basically her comments were dismissed. But now the audio gets released, and the timing of this is very interesting to me. Is there might be something more to that disclosure, but clearly, who's ever offering the bribe, the people out east, quote unquote, these people have money and they're brazen in their efforts. So if you look at all the people who are moved out of the way, most likely for money, Giuliani, Jenna Ellis, Sidney Powell, Pence, who took the coin after he ratified the 2020 presidential election results. So many people abandoned Trump in the election, and it was a really dark period for those who supported Trump. Everyone was used to hearing him for months, every day, and this huge betrayal at the end in January-ish of 2021, he was silent for months. So anyway, just maybe there's a new band being assembled, and Trump's getting smarter at surrounding himself with loyal people instead of turncoats. Kari Lake's showing us, she's got some stones here, and her message is clear that she can't be bought. So when you distill everything down, it always seems to come down to following the money. However, could we be turning the tide? Are the Texas border standoff and the Kari Lake unbribable incident a couple of examples where the will of the people is overcoming greed and power that's been in control? It seems to me that Texas, for now, is defying the overreach of the federal government, and Kari Lake's doing the same thing in a slightly different manner. But one thing is clear, that you can't trust the government, not your state, local, or federal. We, the people, need to understand that, and let's see what happens. And let's see if there's some widespread coverage in the news. But my bet is the good people of this country somehow prevail in all this chaos. And if you're not awake yet, you ought to be. Stay frosty, my friend.
All right. Thank you, David. Appreciate that.
Can I say one thing about one comment David made about timing? I think Kari Lake released those tapes this time because President Trump, or soon to be the nominee, is deciding who his vice presidential pick is. And I think that's a good play to elevate her image and her fight to beat the establishment. No, you don't think so?
I don't think so. I don't think it has anything to do with her being the VP, because she's not going to be the VP. I also don't think that Trump world was particularly happy with that release.
Really?
Yeah,
Why?
I have a pretty good authority that they're not.
Okay.
Part of it is to say, she obviously recorded that.
Right.
Obviously. She knew she was recording it. So, her side of the conversation, one could say, was, a bit scripted. I mean, she knew what she was doing. That doesn't mean that she's wrong. Obviously, DeWitt, the state party chairman, came to her. She didn't force him to come to her with this offer from the boys out east. And she didn't script him. So he's responsible for what he did and who he served as an emissary for. But
he also worked for Trump, though. DeWitt and him are friends, weren't they?
Well, that's what I understand. But the other thing is, if you're talking to Kari Lake, how can you trust that She's not going to be recording you. And, you know, and editing things and so on and so forth. I have more to release, and the whole, you know, that's what he said in his statement, resigning as state party chairman, that, you know, I don't need to deal with this. She's got a bigger megaphone, blah, blah, blah. Point is this. The timing of this is only interesting. I mean, I don't know where David was going, but the timing of this is makes sense, because if she had done it a year and a half after the election, it would have dissipated into the ether. Now she's doing it right into the face of any potential primary challenger that the boys out east would try and put up against her. She's much strengthened her position, certainly among conservatives in Arizona, such that you probably can't take me out in a primary, even if you want to. And as I said before, I mean, this is an opportunity where instead of the boys out east being antagonistic to the party to which they allegedly affiliate, lean into it. Lean into Trump, lean into Kari Lake. She's in a statistical dead heat with Gallego, the Democrat, and Christine, and even if you include Sinema running as an independent, still basically a dead heat between the three. So that's the point. But this is about her positioning herself in that Senate race. This is not about her positioning herself for VP. And then my understanding and estimation. All right. I want to get something that is not explicitly political, but let's take a few calls first.
Oh, no, I want to hear
Rick, Downers Grove.
Hey, good morning, Dan, Amy. I got a question with the thing going on in Texas with Greg Abbott and the support of the other, you know, like Republican governors. Do you believe like that push has finally become shoved and that we might be at the high water mark for the invasion?
Oh, you mean that it's going to
yeah.
What, the federal government is going to be prompted to respond and to start to try to stem the tide? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Thanks for the call, Rick. You know, you would think that. You would think it would be logical that there would be some action taken by Biden, because this is not a winner for him.
No.
Not, you know, not in the short term, at least. It's not a winner for him.
And even people in his own party are getting antsy. I mean, his constituents are. They don't want this.
Some.
The black community doesn't.
They're not in control of the Democratic Party, though. This may be news to Hakeem Jeffries, but they're not. So, you know, black residents to the south side or west side of Chicago or New York boroughs, they're not in control of the Democratic Party. It's, you know, the movement Marxists that control the party. So, yeah, you would think that he would try to dull the blade on this issue. But, boy, there's a lot of resistance. I think they still think, at this point, that they can get away with Republicans walked away from the table on a bipartisan deal to provide border funding and along with Ukraine, and so I think they still think they can get away with that, and it still was their party line this week, wasn't it? That may change. Bob, Buffalo Grove.
Good morning, Amy and Dan. Always good talking to you and hearing your discussions on the topical issues of the day. Switching topics of most of your discussion on political issues, let me offer the announcement of the Academy Awards.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, Melissa and Joan Rivers.
Way back in July, I think it was also Amy noted the new movie Sound of Freedom. After your strong recommendation, I saw it. Mm-hmm. And there was also a discussion on how Hollywood would and the media would address the movie. Well, the Academy Awards have been announced, and Hollywood ignored it, and also the media. And this week, Hollywood insiders are all upset over Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig not being nominated.
And Ken got a nomination, and they didn't.
Hey, Bob, did you see Barbie by any chance? Did you see it?
I did.
I did too. What did you think?
Oh my!
My friend that I took with to see the movie, she fell asleep. I had to wake her up. It was.
Yeah, I think it's. Yeah, I'm sorry, Bob from Buffalo Grove, the engineer on Barbie. Please give me your review.
Hey, but But what about Sound of Freedom? They totally ignored it.
Why are you not giving me a review? You saw Barbie. But by the way, the most interesting thing thing about this is that you saw Barbie, Bob. So I want your review.
The beginning part was funny. The opening 5 minutes or whatever, where they ripped off 2001, was hysterical. And I pretty much got bored with it. I mean, the special effects and the settings was fine, but
too many songs and dance routines.
But getting
not
back
exactly
to
Ebert and Siskel between the two of you. But
Well,
anyway,
I'm trying to
go
draw
ahead.
it out of Bob. Bob, why didn't you like the movie? I mean, besides the opening scene.
Just nothing really stood out. Playing on they did it.
All right,
best.
Bob. Gene Shalit, you're not. All right. Thanks for the call, Bob.
Oh my God, you cut
No.
him off.
Yeah,
he
well,
was working through it.
Yeah, well, you saw it, so you've had time to process it now. You didn't just see it this morning.
But what's the irony that you have this feminist film about women's rights, and then Ken gets a nomination for an Oscar, and the head actress and the director get snubbed?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I mean,
Senator Kankles, Hillary Clinton, tweeted out, Greta and Margot, while it can sting to win the box office but not take home the gold, your millions of fans love you. You're both so much more than Kenuff.
Oh.
Hashtag Hillary Barbie.
See, she always has to insert herself. She always has to play the victim.
When will they come out with a Hillary Barbie?
You know what? They should.
Octogenarian Kankles Barbie. I like that. That'll be fun. Be
might
fun
happen.
for the young girls and
Nikki Haley.
and boys who identify as girls. Matt, Southside.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. Real quick, you guys played that clip of Joe Biden and Barack Obama talking about border security and how they've changed their position. I think it has something to do with climate change. I think back since 2007, if I understood the chart right, I think it's gone up 0.2 degrees since then.
Yeah, right. Thanks for the call. Right. That's right. That the migratory patterns are all the result of this earth-altering climate change. That's part of the argument. You heard it last week in Davos. Well, I guess we should not keep the Prime Minister of Ireland waiting any longer.
He's back.
Prime Minister Kevin.
Oh, it is a great and grand thing, you two. You know, your wonderful mayor told me the other day that the great Milton Friedman, that famed UFC economics fighter, stated, you cannot have a welfare state and you cannot have open borders, but you can have both. And after speaking with the boys out east, I ask you, Dan and Amy, to please stop questioning the excellent leadership skills of Mayor BLM, Let's Go Brandon and his Johnson. He has great leadership skills. Yes, the other day he licensed me all the rights to a world-class motto that I will soon spread on T-shirts and knickknacks and gewgaws throughout the Emerald Isle. And it is a motto that crafts empowerment to the disadvantaged in society, a rallying cry in the absence of reparations. The motto is, gimme that.
Yes, thank you very much, Prime
Brandon
Minister.
and his Johnson.
Yes.
Wow.
BLM, Let's Go Brandon and his Johnson.
Oh, that's good.
Yes, the Prime Minister was referring to this moment this week.
I know folks may have questions about my style, but don't question my leadership.
No, you don't. Don't even look at me.
Look, he's at home trying to raise a black wife and some black kids.
3 black kids who go to charter schools, but we'll get to that. Charter school.
Brad, West Loop.
Yeah, I got an answer. So there was an interview that Kari Lake had with Greg Kelly, and he asked her why now, and she said she was recently playing it for her daughter, or I don't think her daughter. She knew her daughter overheard it, and then her daughter says, like, you have to do something about this, and so she said, well, I can't. I got to do something now. I got to put it out there.
Oh, all right. Thank you for telling us that.
Yeah.
That was according to her. I mean,
Okay.
My daughter made me do it, Dan.
Take it with a grain of salt, but that's what she said.
Yeah.
Our
all right.
daughter
Thanks
made
for
her
the
do
call,
it.
Brad.
You
I
know,
didn't see that, but okay, sure. My daughter made me do it.
It's good. It's like my dog ate my homework. My daughter made me do it.
No,
do
I
anything
looked-
for our children, Dan.
Yes, I looked into the face of this cherub, and I couldn't disappoint my daughter. I had to. Yeah. Okay. All right. Sure.
That's what they do in their house for family fun.
Uh,
Listen to secret audio recordings.
Don't overplay this hand, Carrie Lake. Jordan in Antioch, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. Quick question, Dan, for you. Maybe you know, maybe you don't. The Supreme Court case right now, or the Fifth Circuit Court date, with the whole thing with Amy Coney Barrett and everything. If she's now with not granting injunctive relief, it kicks it back to the court, right? So now they proceed with what the case is. So in that case, if Biden administration is found guilty of dereliction of duty based on Article 1 or Article 2 and Article 4, that you didn't uphold your oath, right? So they're found in dereliction of duty. Would that means removal of office, correct? You're found guilty by the Supreme Court of the United States.
It's not a criminal. It's not a criminal trial. You're not being found guilty. They would issue an opinion on whether or not the state of Texas has the right to defend itself from an invasion, per those provisions that we've mentioned and Greg Abbott mentioned, Article 4, Section 4, and then Article 1, Section 10. Say, yes, in this context, the state of Texas can take action that the federal government isn't taking. So it would be, sort of a constitutional indictment of the policy choices, the abrogation of duty by the Biden administration. You shall protect the states. That Supreme Court could hold that. I don't know if they'd use language that strong. But it's more, does the state of Texas have the right to intercede where the federal government has failed for whatever reason to provide for its security? And the Supreme Court weighs in on that decision. Now, the conviction would be, if you get a Supreme Court decision like that, then I think it would be incumbent upon House Republicans to take that and run with it in terms of an impeachment proceeding against President Biden.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
All right, thanks for the call, Jordan. By the way, just on the Hillary Clinton thing.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Amish Texter just sent this over. I missed this Babylon Bee story. The paper of record. Babylon Bee. Hours after Hillary condemns Barbie snub, Oscar statue found dead in apparent suicide. Yeah, Bee is pretty good.
He's the best. No one's better than him, seriously.
Mark, Western Burbs.
Yeah, hey, Dan and Amy. I just want to remember Christopher Chambers and Nathan Ingram. Those were the two SEALs killed over in the Persian Gulf. And your last caller talked about dereliction of duty. I think Lloyd Austin and his ilk need to think about the ramifications of their weakness, that it's causing guys like this to be killed.
Yeah.
Thanks for the call, Mark.
Lloyd Austin's still working from home.
Dawn in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, good morning. I wanted to let all the listeners know that in Illinois, if you have an adult who has intellectual or developmental disability, we have residential placements for them, which we have a crisis in right now. There are very rare placements, and it's a real serious situation. So we've got that going on. And on top of that, Governor Pritzker had decided to propose reducing hours that these individuals are depending upon. So they have support workers who are taking care of them so they can live and have help with daily living skills. So Governor Pritzker was proposing to reduce hours because our state is broke. It is so frustrating. So I'm calling actually to congratulate those who are advocating against it. Governor Pritzker administration announced that they're only going to temporarily decide to halt a reduction in hours. So we need to be diligent on this and make sure that they don't do this. But what really is upsetting is that our state is broke, and you're telling me that you're going to go after the most vulnerable individuals with disabilities. I mean, it's just disgusting. And I think that we really need to understand that those that deminimize life, if you deminimize the unborn, don't think they're going to come after you. They deminimize the most weak. They deminimize the disabled. They deminimize the poor. And if you are not adding to what they think is valuable to their power, you're easily disposable. So, but congratulations to everybody who got this halted. We'll see how temporarily it is, right, Dan?
Yeah, we've mentioned that a couple times this week, the $87 million in cuts proposed by DHS. At the same time, you're spending north of $1 billion already on migrants, and how that's basically sums up Illinois in a single sentence. That tells you everything you need to know about what the power structure in Illinois considers Illinois values. No question about it. Thanks for the call, Don. Yeah, and what Don is talking about too is right. So if you have these budget cuts, then the staff cuts come, and then when you have some of these nonprofits like the one I'm on the board of, Envision, that have homes that provide 24/7 care, well, then you're removing one of the individuals that provides 24/7 care. I mean, it's not feasible when you're talking about some people with severe intellectual and developmental disabilities that need 24/7 care and don't have, many cases, particularly with Envision, or you're talking about indigent clients they serve, don't have family. And $87 million, again, in a $55 billion state budget, when you're spending $1 billion on non-resident, non-citizens here illegally. I mean, again, tell me how those people have the moral high ground on this matter. Mm-hmm. Barb, Lake Mills, Wisconsin.
Hi, as far as Carrie Lake, I just wanted to let you know she was on Megyn Kelly yesterday, and it was a good interview, and I mean, I believe her, but anyway, she said that she recorded that conversation right before CPAC.
Yeah, it was in March of last year.
Yeah, and that when she went there and did her speech, she actually shared the information, but she didn't give any names. And that media really was uninterested. No, she said she'd been talking about it for almost a year, and no one's been interested until now.
Well, yeah, because she didn't name names. So, I mean, I didn't doubt that she had been approached to get out of the race. I mean, that happens, by the way, a lot. I mean, it's not exactly unique. But media would have taken an interest in it. We would have taken an interest if she released it in last March. But the question is, why didn't she name names and release it until this past week? And I think my explanation is probably the reason. Thanks for the call, Barb. And again, I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing. It's power politics. I said, she has a killer instinct, and frankly, we need more of that in the party. But I mean, be careful not to get too cute in terms of shining people on about the release of this and the timing of this and so on and so forth. Hey, look, people's attention are focused on 2024, so I'm telling you what I'm up against as we're now in the throes of this campaign. Simple as that. What happened, happened. You make your own judgment on it. Fine. Al in Yorkville.
Hey, I've composed a little jingle in honor of those crossing our southern border. Maybe you'd like to hear it.
Yes.
Oh, we love jingles. Mm-hmm.
Do you need a music
illegals
bed
here,
with it?
Illegals there. I see illegals everywhere, but they like where they're at today, and here is where they'll stay. They come from here, they come from there. I guess they come from everywhere, but they like where they're at today, and here is where they'll stay. They've come to mooch where mooching's best. In the old U.S., it's Uncle Joe what brought them here, and here is where they'll stay.
All right. Very catchy. Thanks for the call, Al.
Appreciate you.
I think Al was the original composer of the Burma Shave jingle. Dan, Salem, Wisconsin.
Dan and Amy, I called earlier, but I had to hang up because you had a guest.
And I wanted to say, like, that guy that's going to let those illegal aliens stay in his building.
Yeah.
Until his insurance agent finds out about it and they sue him.
Well,
You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean,
What
I
if
you
they
know.
sign leases though?
Well, I don't. Right. I don't know what he worked out or didn't work out. I mean, I hear you. Thanks for the call, Dan. I mean, yeah. I don't know. We had a friend of his call in when we were talking about it, and hopefully we'll get to talk to him. We can ask him some of those pertinent questions. Grant in Rockford.
Good morning, you guys. Hey, happy Friday. Michael Flynn had a great article in the Western Journal this week about all the case precedent about how Texas has the right to defend its borders. Dan, I'd love for you to have him on your counterculture program. I love that show. It's great.
Thank you.
Also, I was wondering, you guys going to have Julie Kelly on next week to talk about all these January 6th pipe bomb revelations?
Yeah, we're making an effort. Yes.
Thanks for the call, Grant. Yeah, we talked
the
about
whole-
that earlier in the week.
Right. I mean, come on. There's an alleged attempted assassination attempt on the VP elect, and no one knew about it.
Well, I mean, yeah, right. So
Plus
that's
all the images and cameras
The
not
video
working.
shows a law enforcement noticed about this pipe bomb that was a fake, and they don't take any particular evasive action. They're unconcerned.
Yeah, they let
so on and
kids
so
walk
forth.
by.
We find out that the person who was telling the Secret Service and the Metro Police, this has been reported, that there was a pipe bomb over here by this park bench. Feet away from them was a plainclothes D.C. Metro officer. So, there's a lot of questions that surround it. It doesn't seem like there's reason to believe the initial reporting on that. And again, the idea that there was this serious event, there was this play to blow up the DNC and the RNC, to cover your tracks, throw a fake one in front of the RNC too. And Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, who are otherwise obsessed with demonizing Trump and Trump voters over January 6th, would not talk about this, would not say, we were this close. There was essentially, right, as you said, an attempt on Kamala Harris's life made when she was in the DNC and this pipe bomb was discovered and so forth.
Yeah, but again,
it's just none of it makes any sense.
If there's if there's even a threat at a shopping mall or a high school, everyone's evacuated immediately. I mean, right away. Everything's shut down. Everyone's, but these guys are just like,
very
One guy took a
lackadaisical.
picture of it. Nobody scrambled to evacuate the building. It's such a hoax.
Kids are walking across the street,
Right.
on the sidewalk, right
Come
where
on.
the fake bomb was found. Yeah, it's
It smells so bad. It smells like Jussie Smollett.
It strains the bounds of credulity, doesn't it? I did want to just also provide a little bit of summary of Joe Biden's week, the big guy, Mr. 10%, your president. He had a big week. He was in Virginia for a Restore Roe rally.
Which he got interrupted 13 times, by the way, by pro-Palestinians.
Yeah, but he still got his message out.
We'll teach Donald Trump a valuable lesson. Don't mess with the women in America unless you want to get the benefit.
Don't mess with the women of America unless you want to get the benefit. Is that what he's trying to say? Then, of course, he went over to the UAW to receive their endorsement, and he had this to say, commentary on the auto industry, following it closely.
Because of you, Toyota, Volkswagen, Nissan, Tulsa all gave their workers double-digit raises. Because of you.
Tulsa.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Tesla.
rounds out the week in Wisconsin at a brewery. He's connecting with the regular folk out there. And, he, where was this brewery? This was Earth Rider Brewery in Superior, Wisconsin. All right. Earth Rider.
The beer brewed here, it is used to make the brew beer in this refiner. Oh, Earth Rider, thanks for the Great Lakes.
Okay.
Illogical.
Let's try that.
beer?
Wait, just one more time. I'm going to see if we can translate this.
Beer brewed here, it is used to make the brew beer in this refiner. Oh, Earth Rider, thanks for the Great Lakes.
Yeah.
Ooh, Earth Rider, thanks for the Great Lakes. I'm having trouble.
Big week. By Rich in Indian Head Park.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. I have a quick comparison. If Joe Biden is reelected, it would be like starting an 82-year-old man to play in the Super Bowl at quarterback.
All right, thanks for the call, Rich. Chuck in Delavan, Wisconsin.
Amy, thanks for mentioning my garage band. It smells like Jesse Smollett. Public service announcement.
Nirvana cover band. Yeah.
Oh, yes. 2 weeks ago, 1,000 aliens were dropped off in Whitewater. You can Google it. Everybody that owns a lake house up in Lake Geneva, you better make your way up here. There's people living in your lake houses. They discovered what a lake house is. And then the D-Light Duo month is over with. We got them at the Abbey Saturday night. And then Phil and Reggie, be there or be square at the Geneva Tap House on Sunday, 2 to 5. You guys all have a great weekend.
All right, Chuck from Delavan, Wisconsin. And as we're wont to do, that concludes this week's installment of Open Mic Friday.
And we want to thank you so much for joining us this week. We want to thank George Hoffman, who's been in for Justin Kosick the past 2 days, and Quinn McCarthy, who loves working here today because we got a new water cooler. By the way, Dan, you missed it. Our old water cooler broke. Well, we had nowhere to gather for a few weeks. Today, what's going to be 40 degrees, light rain and fog throughout the day. And for the weekend, cloudy, highs near 40. It is now 9 a.m., WIND, Chicago.
It's outrageous. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what Israel's prime minister calls charges of genocide in the war against Hamas in Gaza.
Israel has an inherent right to defend itself.
Benjamin Netanyahu reacting to a UN court ruling stopping short of ordering a ceasefire that would have been hard to enforce anyway.
The vile attempt to deny Israel this fundamental right is blatant discrimination against the Jewish state, and it was justly rejected.
South Africa filed a lawsuit claiming the war that's killed more than 25,000 Palestinians is genocide. The International Court of Justice is urging Israel to do more to limit deaths and damage. Hamas has just released video of 3 female Israeli hostages. 2 of them are soldiers kidnapped in the October terror attack that started the war. Iran-backed Houthi militants went on the attack again today, firing a missile at an American warship off the coast of Yemen that the USS Carney shot down. The U.S. has launched 9 attacks the past 2 weeks, hitting Houthi targets to stop their attacks on shipping. Texas is getting a lot of support from 25 other Republican-led states in a battle at the border with the Biden administration.
Why are they directing Border Patrol? The American people need to ask themselves, why are they directing the Border Patrol to cut razor wire?
Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt tells Fox he may send his National Guard to help Texas, which appears ready to ignore a federal deadline today to allow U.S. border agents into a park in Eagle Pass to remove razor wire Texas put up to stop illegal immigrants. Nikki Haley's planning 2 rallies in South Carolina this weekend before next month's primary, and she just told Fox,
only 2 states have voted. We have 48 states left. You can't go and discount all of those voters who want to vote in this election.
Haley says she pushed back to the Republican National Committee's chairwoman's push to drop out of the race, saying she thinks former President Trump was behind it, wanting to be declared the presumptive GOP nominee. He posted on Truth Social that he thinks the race should be decided the old-fashioned way at the ballot box. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 38 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Former President Trump is encouraging states to send their National Guard troops to Texas to show their support to Republican Governor Greg Abbott in his fight against the federal government. The conflict stems over the governor's refusal to abide by a Supreme Court decision approving the removal of razor wire across the border with Mexico. Trump called the influx